The Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering, attain bliss and birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung kính đại đức thần kinh, vì thứ pháp hội công nhớ thiết chúng sinh. Kinh kiến diệu pháp luân giao đạo hạ môn, như á liêu sanh thoát cư ly khổ đạp lạc, tốt chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Tôn Tô Sư Chế Đô Ye Ở La Hờ Đi San Miao San Phu Tô Xie. Nam mô Ta Tát Tha Tô Ya Đa Ya A La Ha Đế Tam Miêu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I've come to receive and maintain it within my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom that thus come one's true and actual need. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa bai jian wan jian nan zao yu wo jin jian wen de shou chi yuan xie ru lai zhen shi. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Shenhua, venerated Sanghas, and all good advisors, Amitabha. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, Chư Phật Sang Trần,各位比丘，各位沙弥，各位沙弥尼，各位战士师，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thượng Tuyên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức, A Di Đà Phật. Today is the 5th of July 2015. We are in Rosemead to continue discussing the Heart Sutra. We are on slide 133. So we're talking about the very first Dharma that the Buddha brought to this world. He taught his first 5 disciples. Bàn về cái pháp đầu tiên Đức Phật dạy cho nhân loại, cho nhân gian, cho 5 cái vị tỳ kheo, 5 cái vị đệ tử đầu tiên của Đức Phật đó. Trước là 5 vị là tùy tùng, là dòng hoàng tộc của Đức Phật. These 5 used to be his attendants, 5 vị tùy tùng của Đức Phật. Khi mà Đức Phật mà bỏ hoàng cung ra đi tu đó, đi xuất gia đó. When the Buddha left the emperor, the royal palace to become a shramana, his father is very concerned. Vua cha nó rất là lo âu. Mới sai 5 người tới. So he called upon these 5 people, half of which is about from his father's, the king's side, and the other half, the remaining, is from the The mother side, I don't remember exactly 2 or 3. I don't remember the numbers. Thì cái nhóm này là từ cái họ hàng của đức vua, hoặc là họ hàng bên vua cha, hoặc là họ hàng bên hoàng hậu. And so he called upon these 5 people and said, I trust you. I want you to go and find my son and bring him back. Thì đức vua mới nói rất giản dị, nói bây giờ thái tử đã ra đi rồi, thành trẫm yêu cầu quý vị đi kiếm mang thái tử về lại cho trẫm. Okay. And these 5 people went and found the young prince, the crown prince, and they could not convince him to go back. Rồi 5 cái vị tùy tùng này đó tới mới gặp hoàng tử, thái tử, cố gắng thuyết phục thỉnh thái tử trở về hoàng cung lại. Điều thái tử không chịu, thái tử không muốn trở về. Và 5 cái vị này mới quyết định là trở về mà thất bại thì không thể nào, không mặt mũi nào mình nhìn được vua cha. These 5 really decided that they could not face the king with the failure. So they decided to themselves would become Brahmana so that they did the next best thing possible. 5 cái người này cái chuyện nó cũng ly kỳ lắm. Họ mới phát cái tâm, họ nói bây giờ mình thất bại vua cha rồi, mình phụ cái lòng vua cha rồi, mà mình trở về không được, thì bây giờ mình làm cái chuyện mà tốt thế nhì mình có thể làm là bằng cách là mình xuất gia theo phục vụ cho thái tử, cho tới khi thái tử mà trở về, cùng trở về theo. So in that way, they can accompany the crown prince until the crown prince decides to come back. So these 5 then became his attendants. 5 người này thay phiên nhau mà lo cho thái tử. Cái đời xưa người ta có tình có nghĩa như vậy đó. This is how people in the old times are like. Okay, there's something called loyalty that gets lost over various generations. Đời xưa mấy ngàn năm trước cái như vậy. Bây giờ thấy cái sự mà trung thành như vậy rất là hiếm có. Thành ra thế giới mà nó khác. That's why the world is so much different than before. So these 5 became Brahmanas, and not only were they intent on taking care of the crown prince, but they did the best. They became very serious cultivators, just like a crown prince. Họ quyết tâm họ tu để mà xứng đáng được làm tùy tùng của thái tử, so that they were worthy to be his companions, so that they were worthy to be his attendants. So whatever the crown prince did, they also did. Thì bất cứ cái gì mà hoàng thái tử tu đó, họ đều tu hết. Questions or comments? Có Ngân có thắc mắc gì không? Thời buổi này mà thầy dạy, quý vị mà ngồi kiết già, now I teach my student, please cross your leg as full lotus. They all say, it hurt too much, master, and they quit. Thời buổi này thầy dạy học trò, thầy mà ngồi kiết già, ngồi tí nó đau chân quá, thì nói thầy ơi thầy đau chân quá, thôi bỏ cuộc. You know, that's why I don't dare read the Buddha stories anymore. Thành quý vị biết không? Cái chuyện mà cuộc đời Thái tử Tất Đạt Đa với Đức Phật Thích Ca Mâu Ni, thầy đọc một lần thầy không dám đọc, thầy một lần đọc thấy mình dòng nó sao xuyến, sao mới thấy sao đời buổi dạy học trò nó khó quá đi. And that's why I only dare read the Buddha's life story once 20 years ago. Everything I tell you now is from memory. Bất cứ những chuyện mà thầy kể, những gì mà thầy kể về Thái tử Cô Đàm với là Đức Phật Thích Ca Mâu Ni là từ cái trí nhớ thầy không dám đọc chuyện, tại đọc nó sao xuyến mà nó thấy sao nó xốn xao, nó khổ quá. Okay, Well, anyway, so these people work very hard. Thành những người này họ tu hành rất là gắt gao, to the point that when the crown prince renounced the ascetic practices, đến độ khi mà Đức Thái tử mà lên Tuyết Sơn xong rồi tu 6 năm trời rồi mới thấy quyết định là không đi tới đâu rồi mới bỏ cái tu khổ hạnh, thì 5 người tùy tùng này nó bất mãn bỏ Thái tử ra đây luôn, tức họ nghĩ là còn cao hơn Thái tử nữa. So it's amazing to me that these people are so serious, so sincere in their practice, in the quest for liberation, to end suffering, attain bliss. They went after the Buddha and them went to the snow mountain, the 6 of them, endure ascetic practices. Okay, and it is said in the scriptures that the Buddha used to eat. My master says 1 grain of rice and 1 grain of wheat. Ngài Tiến Hóa Ngài giảng, Ngài kể rồi lúc đó lên Tuyết Sơn Thái tử đó mới ăn một ngày, đó là cái tuyệt đỉnh của cái pháp mà khổ hạnh nhất. Ngài ăn một ngày một hạt gạo và một hạt gì á, wheat tiếng Việt là gì? Hạt mè hả? Mè là bổ quá trời hả? Mè không, wheat đâu phải là mè. Dĩ mai, what's Chinese for? What happened to my Chinese translation? Anyway, hả? Hạt lúa hả? Lúa mật hả? Okay. Lúa mật. And so một hạt gạo với hạt lúa mật. Lúa mật. It's Chinese accent. Thì một gạo và một hạt lúa mật. And one day, can you imagine the pain that the body undergoes when you are so hungry? Quý vị biết không? Cái cơ thể cái gì mà khi mà nó đói đó, nó đau đớn không thể tưởng tượng. Có ai thử đói 9 ngày chưa? Anyone has been hungry for 9 days in a row? 9 ngày liên tiếp. What? Không có nước uống. Tại sao vậy? Yes, sir. This lady here, I said I was trying to impress people. I said anyone. I raised my own hand first. I said anyone has been endured hunger and for 9 days, okay? And I thought I would be the only one, but this lady here says I endure hunger, not only hunger but thirst for 20 days. Yeah. And I said, how come? Wow. Làm sao mà sống được? And so I asked her, how could you survive? And she says, when you try to cross the ocean to escape, you sort of resign to the fact you're going to die. 20 ngày, hơn 20 ngày luôn. Over 20 days. Mà lúc đó cái cơ thể nó đau, lúc đói, đau đớn hay sao? Xin. Để mà có tí nước. Ừ. Nhưng sao mà con uống nước, không có nước mà sao mà chết, mà sao mà chịu khát nổi. I asked the details. He says it still hurts and he thinks about it. Vậy là hai bên ngài có nước rồi, sao mà nói. It's terrifying. He says it's so people are so tired. They're so hungry, and they kept telling each other about what they really like to eat if they have a chance. They talk about this and they keep on talking about it, and then they die. There's no water, there's nothing. And she drinks the people's urine. Uống bao nhiêu? Uống nhiều hay uống ít? Oh. She was thirsty. She gave her something to drink, and she didn't realize it was urine. And then she found out it was urine later because it's kind of salty and smelly. Không có mùi nữa. So very salty, but no smell. Rồi mấy người Tàu, mấy người thủy thủ người ta có đồ ăn, đồ uống chứ hả? What happened? They started with food and drinks when they first started out. So inside the sea appears calm. As soon as you get to the deep ocean, it's very windy, it's wavy. So the first week, everyone, when the sea was so bad, everyone ate up. And after a week, all the food and drink ran out. Không có dân nữa. So they met with other boats. They run across they're touching the boat, touching each other. The other boats were not even trying to save them. Là tàu người gì? Việt Nam là Thái Lan. Vietnamese. No, cái tàu mình gặp á, trên not Vietnamese. Yeah. Thầy muốn hỏi cho rõ ràng á, lúc mình đói mà khát như vậy, cái cơ thể nó có đau đớn không? Cô muốn chết không? Thầy măng thôi. She said, I asked her, what do you do when you're so hungry and thirsty? I said, does it hurt? He says, no, you just sit there and you have no choice. Okay, you accept the fact. But what happened is that she wants to eat so much. She craves food. You don't care, you just want to eat. Chỉ ăn thôi. Cái khát mới khổ hơn. And I said, what about your thirst? He says, that's the worst part. The food craving is not as strong as the thirst. Môi, mặt nó nứt ra phải không? Con nhớ lúc mà con khát nước như vậy, môi nó nứt ra, nứt hết, rồi xong nó khô lại, nó đen, nó trông nó ghê dễ sợ lắm. Trong nửa người nửa ngợm. And you sort of là half awake, half asleep. Thành như vậy nó mới đỡ đau đớn, đỡ khổ đó. Chứ còn mình tỉnh nó phiền lắm. And especially children is very most difficult. The children are so hungry and thirsty. They call, they ask their parents for food and drinks. And so they make believe, but they said in the end, after all these make believe, all these tales, pretenses. They said, no, I know I'm dying. You can stop now. Let's stop playing games. And then they say now it's time for me to go, and they close their eyes. They pass away. Đâu có sức mà leo lên nổi đâu. So what happened is many people are so thirsty, and they have no energy whatsoever. So they crawl slowly over the edge and fell over the ocean so that they have some moisture from the ocean. They feel refreshed. And so that's why they fell down, they fell into the ocean, and they felt good, the face, brightened up, and then they had no energy to climb up on board, so they drowned. So what happened is that it's very, very heartbreaking, because the family lose half of all families are half. For example, the husband dies and what remains is the wife, or the wife dies and the husband is left behind, and so on and so on. So all families are half, and her family is only one. She goes, her husband, and both of them survive. It's a blessing somewhere. Như vậy. So what happened is that the hunger, after a while, you become numb to it. Okay, you are no longer feel the hunger. Actually, hunger. Let me ask her. She says is she no longer felt hungry. Để thầy hỏi chuyện này, cái lúc mình đói đó thì nó một lúc á, cái nó tê là không còn đói nữa. Để lâu lâu thỉnh thoảng nó có mấy cơn đói nó khởi lên, có không? Cái khác á, là nó thường xuyên hơn. So what happened is that This is fascinating. Kể chuyện thầy thấy khổ vậy sợ mà thấy hay sao? This is fascinating because she says when you're hungry, after a while you become numb. You're no longer hungry. Okay. But what remains is that occasionally you have hunger pangs. See, the old monk is not impressed because he's hungry for more than 20 days. Nói lẩm bẩm vậy thôi. Nó xẹp ha. Mà mấy người chết rồi mày đẩy ra sao tạo? Mình không ăn họ hả? Đúng rồi. Để thế dịch đó. So what happened is that I asked her, do you eat the dead? And is that it's it take a few days for people they leave the body for a few days, and then they decided to push them over. But everyone's so weak, it's very hard to push the body over into the ocean. So someone suggested, instead of working so hard, we don't have any energy left, why don't we eat it? And her husband says, if anyone dares cut up this corpse, I will personally kick that person overboard, throw that person overboard. That's how they stop. So, she says she remembered seeing these people, especially small children. You push them over the edge, and they float on the ocean, and they sink slowly, and your boat doesn't go away because it's floating too. So you watch this cadaver sinking slowly and being washed away. It's sad. And what's important, she says, is that the worst part about this is the thirst, because the hunger. You can see, I don't think she remembers very well. Hunger has hunger pangs. Phải không thầy Hiền Trì? Cái đói đó là nó lúc nó tê rồi lâu lâu nó mới khởi lên cơn đói, đúng không? Cơn đói nó dễ sợ lắm. Rồi xong khi mình qua cơn đói rồi nó tê lại, thành nó cứ khởi lên đều chứ không phải nó quên được cái cơn đói đâu. So when I was in a labor camp, after 5, 6 o'clock, after a hard day's work, 100 people in per building, and they're all hungry. So they, you only hear them talking about the food that they like to eat, and everyone talks about food. Nó hiện ra, ăn tôi đi, ăn tôi đi. And he says during the chanchi, he abstained from eating for one day. And while listening to the Dharma talk in the evening at 8:30, and he couldn't hear anything, he could only see the food that was his favorite food that he wants to eat appearing right in front of his face. He's, eat me, eat. And he said one day he couldn't take it. 20 days. Cái dã man khiếp thiệt. It's frightening. And she said, some of them would say, just save me. I'd be glad to spend the rest of my life in the prison. They didn't know about Xianchu's experience in the labor camp. Nếu mà biết là vô cái trại cải tạo như ông kia cũng còn đói hơn nữa. Không phải đói 20 ngày mà đói năm này qua năm khác. And they said, I will shave my head and become a left-home person. Please, we don't want you. Yeah, tự nhiên ở đó phải không? Không. Tội nghiệp. Tôi nó rác lắm, đừng nữa cà miệng. Lúc mà ngồi nó tét hết rồi, nó rác lắm. Ừ. Ừ. Làm sao vô được? Ờ. 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 Ờ.
Mình con là người ta cùng mà khi tới tôi có đứa bờ đồng thì cô không bắt chết. Và chết một cái phải là ở cái khi chồng ở trong người cái bờ cái ống cô người nào hết chết người ta người bờ
Ừ. Ừ. Ờ. Ừ. Ừ. Ừ.
Thì con nghĩ là cái thắt sát này nó trong đó thắt sát là mình đi được.
Ừ.
Tại vì không biết bơi.
Ừ.
Thì biết con vụ vụ cái nghĩ lúc đó mình đâu có bơi được tưởng cái nó không có luôn thầy đó. Nó rất là luôn mặt trong đó không biết không chết.
Ừ.
Trời ơi, tôi chết mà vừa nói trong nước không uống rồi bị thầy nó thầy ơi. Bây giờ con đang uống rồi cái khúc đó. Nhưng con tụt xuống tự nó sâu quá thầy con không biết bơi đâu. Nó học tẻ nó luôn ở tóc con nó bay theo. Con nói rồi, nó là con không bự đâu không? Làm ra cái nước.
Ừ.
Chết vậy thầy.
Ừ.
Mà tự thay luôn vô lại tự đỡ ẩm con tắm lắm.
Yeah.
Dạ.
Mà xung quanh có ai không?
Không có ai hết, nó bình thường nè. Cái con nó nói chết là con lúc nó chết là nước uống này vào tay cũng tụi rồi. Không có sức gì hết trơn mà con nước con biết vậy. Nó không biết chuyện là con đầu nước uống mặt quá rồi biết nó đâu là con đã chết rồi. Con biết chết rồi. Xong đầu sức con là con không chết. Mà thầy biết gì cũng có biết cái đâu. Lúc đó thầy biết con làm gì?
Nó làm gì?
Con không biết bơi.
À, bây giờ có sức đi rồi. Ừ. Ừ. Ai cũng bận rồi đâu có cứu con đâu, tại ai cũng lo đi kiếm đồ ăn cái đã. Có ai mạnh ai đi kiếm đồ ăn đi uống đi kiếm đồ uống nữa. Ăn uống nữa. Ừ. Ông bỏ vợ luôn. Ừ. Ừ. Ừ.
Nó tràn vô thì nó trôi đi nữa, xong rồi vô qua cái ao kia thì mình chạy qua kia. Thì cái nước gì
Ừ. 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 Ừ.
Mà đây là một cục nước nóng, nó có khoảng 90 độ này.
Ừ.
Thì trong lúc đó thì tụi con thì cũng trong cái đám 10 người này, 10 người nằm này, chúng ta còn 10 người này, còn tụi con thì con đi được, các con mơ không nó màu lắm, con rớt cái cổng phần hậu luôn đó. Thì nó đem ra nước nó khác. Thì trong cái cao lông này chỉ mày uống thì còn không tốt thôi.
Ừ.
Có quá.
Ừ. Ừ. Nước cam lộ. Ừ. Ừ.
Còn dư lại thì nó đem ra ngoài cái khớp mình nằm cạnh cái biển á.
Ừ.
Lại cái thùng hai nó còn thôi uống gì uống. Thì thầy uống gì thầy cứ chết thôi.
Ừ.
Thì tối quá uống lần chết.
Ừ.
Thì trong lúc mà uống trong này vào cái sự tạo
Ừ.
nó trồng ngầu đó nó bò nó uống người lại uống. Thì nó uống nhiều uống nhiều uống nhiều.
Ừ. Đợi thầy dịch rồi thầy quên hết. And she said a lot because she's so excited. She still remember these things, and I didn't want to interrupt her. So it's very hard to see her aunt or something give birth on the boat itself, and the baby was the last one to die. Everyone else died, and by the time they hit they found land, an island, the baby was the last one to die. Okay, and then so they were floating around, and they said, you know, look around, there's no land anywhere in sight. And all of a sudden, one day, they hit a rock underneath. They know they're very close to an island. Okay, so now the problem is that everyone's so tired. So those who are strong, they would get off the boat and walk to shore. And she said, what's amazing about it is that they may be very weak, but as soon as they realize land, somehow they were rejuvenated, and they could slip down to the ocean and walk to shore. But she herself was so weakened, okay? And so she looked around. Her husband was gone as well. So you look at her aunt, the one who gave birth, and say, hey, aunt, there is land. Let's go. And she says, the aunt was delirious. She kept on calling her husband's name, and the guy was gone as well. And so she wouldn't listen to guidance, and so she passed away as well. Because now she was the last person by herself. And so she said, and she kept on calling, and she said, where's my husband? And she couldn't find her husband. And so she decided to crawl over to the edge and fall down. Okay, she figured, you look at the water is so clear. Maybe you can hit the bottom and not drown, because she could not swim. And so she crawled over, and she fell down into the water, and guess what? She couldn't find the bottom. She was drowning, and she was calling out for help. Husband, or help. And the more she called, the more she took in water. And then finally she said, okay, that's it, I'm dying, she told herself. And that made her even drink more water. And she was dying, she was resigned to dying. All of a sudden, somehow she remembered that somebody lifted her up. And then the next thing she knew is that her foot could touch the bottom, and the water's up to her neck. Okay, and all of a sudden, someone carried her to shore, but she was by herself. That's for sure. She thought she was dying. She would drown, and somehow somebody lifted her, caught her, lifted her up, and brought her to shore. And now next thing she knew, her feet was on at the bottom, and then the water up to her neck. Now she also could start walking a little bit. So she started walking towards the shore, and then she started crawling, because that's all the strength she had. And then so they found some Chinese soldiers. They came out and they put two guns on her side and say, VC, VC. They spoke Chinese, and she couldn't understand Chinese. Có phải người Tàu hả? Hả? Có là người Việt thuần tí là người Tàu. Người Việt. Tại mấy cái người này toàn là họ giả dặn tiếng Việt, thiệt ra họ Tàu. So she said, I asked, are you pure Vietnamese or any Chinese blood? She said, sorry, she remembers she's Vietnamese. So it stuck two guns on her side and said, VC, VC. That's all she couldn't understand. And finally, she said, no. So no. But finally, someone came out who could speak Vietnamese, and they gave her water. That's the most important thing. They said, drink 3 gulps. That's it. Do not drink more, because if you drink more, you die. Okay? And so they gave everyone water to drink, some gulps of water to drink, and then after they went around to give people water, and then they put the water canister to the side, and they left. And some of the people who were still very thirsty, they crawled over there and started drinking more, and they died on the spot right there. So they survived to the shore, and then they died because of over drinking water. Okay. Rồi sao kế tiếp. Ai cũng tỉnh thế, bây giờ thường giờ này ai cũng ngủ hết đó. Mà cái giờ đầu tiên ai cũng ngủ gà. Yes, sir.
Lúc tới khi lên thì nói là có một người chết, thay ra một lúc ông người chết, ông nói không biết bà đâu, nó đi vô là ông gì đó ông không biết đó. Thì nó khi nó thì bà cứu con thì còn nằm trên cái sàn đó, cái xác nó còn nằm đó, thì chồng nó vô rồi đó là thì 21 tuổi cho cái đường đi với này. Giống như người luyện rồi, giống như thầy chết cái ruột họ người ngã vào mình đoạn mình ngã vào khi mà nói vào thầy vô canh cáo á, cáo mà cái cắn á, cáo có đường.
Mà ăn là đi kiết chứ đâu ăn được, đâu có giữ được.
Buồn, đau khổ, kiệt sức, mà nhìn thấy cái cảnh rất là thấy rất là người ta, con là người cười, tại vì con không ở đó nổi, con có lao lại cái đánh thắng mà những cái chuyện nó không có nặng gì đó thôi, mình thấy cái thôi đó thầy, cho này không được ở được, còn như ở cái gió này đó, ăn nó được, cái trái đi ăn được mà khát nước, nó vẫn còn khát nước thầy, ở cái gió thì nó đưa đồ ăn thì không có một người ăn đó thầy. Chết, trong khi đó có người chết nữa, nhưng một người chết nữa, mà chồng nó là ăn đâu chết. Nó nằm ở bên chồng, nó không biết chồng nó chết là khóc. Nó không biết cái gì.
Đó là mà nay nấy sống rồi.
Còn thầy biết cái tháng nó khiêu lên, tháng nào nó khiêu người chết, khiêu lên để nằm đó. Còn tới người khác khiêu để nằm dài, cái nằm nó không thầy. Không nhiều người mà ngồi được vậy thì con thì cũng ngồi, tại con kìa cái mặt con rớt được đi, con có gì. Trời thầy ơi, sáng ra buồn nó buồn thầy, nó buồn muốn thì cuốn. Trời con, thầy có cầu gần nó được, thầy nó ngọt lắm. Trời sáng nó chảy như lát niệm á, rồi đi cuộc ăn hát không mà chỗ cầu. Nó phát được xong, ra đợi đó. Nó tìm nó tìm rất chết vậy thầy, để nó chết vậy. Cháo đường đó thầy, làm sao là tắm. Trời thầy biết không, trời ơi, người cô biết đâu, có đuổi được không? Dễ
sợ.
Nó khổ đấy. Con nói cái này con nói cái nậu mà nói cái đó thôi. Nó ăn đấy. Con nói cái đậu mà con gì á, con phải lúc cho những người khác ăn thầy có. Con còn bớt được. Con được sao liệt đâu có ăn nữa thầy. Chia con ra. Mà đâu có bôi được để được thì hỏi đi vừa một bên đó. Nó liệt thì nó đó ha. Mà cái mút lên thì nó nầu nó vào. Thằng này đau lòng nhìn thấy con họ mình chết thì thấy nó khó chịu lắm. Thằng nhìn mấy ngày này bắt cười. Cười là vui đậu mà 4 buổi không được. Rồi bạn ăn không được là sao thầy? Còn đầu thì nhiều người cũng mất cỡ. Tại vì nó kiếm cười. Con người biết tay cột lên thì những người làm đó nó đi. Giờ vậy mà được cái thầy cái cầu cổ ở điện nữa. Thì con ở trong đảo thì mình mà nó ăn thấy là nó thành thầy người con
mà không đi kiết hả? Ăn vào đi. Ăn cháo phải không?
Ăn cháo ăn ít thôi. Sau này khi mình vô đây cho mình dùng thì có ăn vô có mình ngon chứ. Khi mình nói là ăn tàu này nó đau quá thầy, nó đau. Thì nó nói giờ ta đang chôn hai người, thấy rõ là khi hai người rõ là có sao á, thì nó lấy cái trọng thì nó có tay bình trước rồi sao, mà ở đảo là sao giờ sao
chết rồi.
Tuần đó tuần thì cả các bác Việt Nam nó là bây giờ tuần này là học xong thì khi mình vô đó thì nó không giờ cho tụi con là cậu nước tạo đầu á, rồi tạo đầu á, rồi tắm
Tóc dài, còn trí ở đây nữa.
Từ này là cỡ ở Trung Quốc nữa này, Trung Quốc nữa. Từ đó nó trao đổi vậy đó. Ở Trung Quốc con đây là con có biết không được không? Thì bây giờ chỉ đi không không. Thì bây giờ tàu mà ghé ở đó là nó trao đổi được nhu dầu những cái ăn trên thì phải chở con đi. Thì có cái tàu hẳn ghé đó nhu dầu những cái ăn. Thì lúc vô đó thì nó nói trong đây là chở 21 triệu đêm. Thì cái tàu nó là cái tàu nhỏ nó chở như người thôi. Thì con cũng biết con có thuốc tên đi không, con có hậu con không ham muốn gì nữa, giờ cái đâu có vậy thôi, con cắn mà nó ngu gì nữa giờ đi, thì ai kêu tên ai làm nó con đã buộc của giờ đưa cái đâu nuôi giờ con đi từ nào đi giờ con tay đầu rồi nó có sức nữa. Thì
ăn thịt người. So some of the boat people, they would eat, would become cannibals. And with such boat, they have over 50 people, only one person survived. It's a kid who survived by eating the corpse. Hai năm. Xếp cho. Đúng. Nó nói nó ăn cái được.
Mà tới này tới giờ mà cái người mà nó chết mà ăn là
Mà trong trại cá tà không ăn không ăn thịt người hả?
Con có ăn kè.
Cắt kè.
Thấy trên cây này nó bò nó bò vô, thấy cái gì con nhóm dắt con cào cào nó ăn mà được con lớn.
Nướng ăn hả? Ồ. Cắt kè nướng ăn ngon lắm á. Thầy nghe nói mấy người tù nhân ta nuốt thằng lằn. Bắt chuột. So after hearing the story, I don't dare talk about hunger anymore. I'm not, you know. Sau khi nghe mà cái cô Cảnh kể chuyện xong, bây giờ thầy cũng dám kể chuyện nhịn đói nữa. Cái khổ nó chả nhầm gì đối với khổ bà này hết. No comparison, you know. That's hell. It's worse than hell because.
Giờ đất họ ăn đó nhiều lắm, nhưng mà họ xin được nó làm nhiều lắm, tại vì không còn gì nữa mà ăn.
The question arises: would you eat a cadaver just to survive? Thầy thắc mắc cái chuyện, thầy hỏi cái gì? Khi mình đói đến độ mình có thể ăn thịt người để mà người chết để mình sống sót không? Would you do that? Coi như người ta chết rồi thì ăn đâu có sao đâu. You know, it's just like pure meat. Phật giáo mình có gọi là tịnh thực. Là mình đâu có giết họ đâu, họ chết tự nhiên mà. Thì Đức Phật nói có quyền những con thú vật mà nó chết tự nhiên có quyền ăn. Người như khiến người cũng là thú vật, đâu khác gì thú vật đâu. You know, I just wonder, would you? I mean, you're not there. You know, that this guy, this old monk here, he says they never ate human meat in the labor camps. Nói chuyện tội nghiệp mấy em nhỏ rồi nói chuyện người lớn không mà ma quỷ rồi ăn thịt người. It's a hard one. Tại mình chưa bây giờ mình vào cái cảnh giới mình đói đến độ mình mất cái nhân tính của mình luôn. Well, the reason I asked you is that the meaning of the question is that have you ever been, you know, can you imagine yourself in a situation where you lose your humanity? Just you become an animal seeking to survive. And you know, it's just not like her story, but the story is still going on right now in a similar way. The migration from Africa to Europe nowadays is still going on. People risk their lives just to escape death in their own country. Để sau những kinh nghiệm rồi mình thấy cách nhìn cuộc đời mình nó khác nha hả? Dửng dưng. And so I asked her, after you have these near-death experiences that dragged on for days, for weeks, does it change your perspective, your outlook on life? And she says now she's here, it's kind of hard to get excited about her life. Bây giờ nói nhiều thiệt á. Kể cả tiếng đồng hồ tỉnh bơ. He said, I usually not that talkative since I came to the temple. I said, it's true. Today you talk for more than an hour. Thoải mái lắm. I mean, she's opening up. That's very good. Cái đó là mình giữ trong cái khổ tâm mình nó còn giữ ở trong đó. Thành ra mình nói được nó xả ra tốt lắm.
Hầu con còn thả con thì nó làm cứ đầu làm về nhà cái xong về nhà thì nó quay khoảng nó vẫn khó cắn, còn làm được thì lúc mà này nọ nó cắn có bạn cắn gì đó.
And that's what I'm getting at. Cái đó là thầy muốn tới đó, là một khi mà quý vị qua những cái kinh nghiệm như vậy rồi đó, của những người mình nó đổi à. Yeah, it's a life-changing experience. Because once you survive it, it's very hard to get you excited. You just sort of have a nonchalant attitude towards life. Okay, that near-death experience is really the suffering you endure. I mean, I don't know, it changes you profoundly. Nó đổi mình cười, nó đổi dễ sợ. Tham lam, bớt cái tham lam dễ sợ. Không còn tham cái gì nữa hết á. She says the only thing that's still alive in her is the desire to help others, because she helped others on the boat the whole time. She did the best she could. Some of them survived and became healthy and strong. I mean, the stronger ones, so because they ate the food she bought for them. There's lemons. I mean, bring lemons. You plan to cross the ocean on a small boat. Make sure you bring lemons. Because they keep very long, and when you run out of water, you use it. Okay, and with these life-changing experiences, your outlook on life changed drastically. You can shed a lot of desires. Khi mà qua những cái cảnh mà gần sống chết như vậy rồi đó, mình xả nhiều dễ sợ, xả không thể tưởng tượng. I can identify with that. Cái đó thầy biết đó, là tại vì cái pháp tu nó như vậy đó. Pháp tu mình đó, là mình tu đó, là mình xả cái đó được là bằng cách mình chịu khổ. Cái khổ khi nó cực điểm rồi, cái bị dễ xả dễ sợ. This is why it happens in our dharma practice is that if you're willing to endure the extreme pain and suffering, that's when it's very easy to shed, because it's nothing. It's that important. Khi mà tới cảnh giới rồi, không có gì mà còn tham lam, không có gì mà quan trọng độ. Sinh mạng mình mà mình giữ nổi mà còn tham cái gì nữa. Thành mấy cái người đó dễ tu lắm. Those people who went through life experience like that, it changes them and makes them very, very tough, very, very, very durable. Okay. Thành ra lúc mà thầy tu mà thầy mà cực khổ mà đói khát mà nghèo như vậy mà không ngửa tay xin, tại vì theo truyền thống của dòng mình đó là nghèo thôi chứ mà xin ai, đói mà xin ai. Because in our lineage, we recite this every morning now, mỗi sáng tụng cái này, nó là lạnh cống cũng không có phan duyên, đói tử cũng không có xin, nghèo cũng không khẩn cầu ai hết. And this is what our master teaches us. Đây là một sư phụ mình dạy mình như vậy. If you can experience that, then you can truly cultivate. Nếu thực sự cái tâm cái vị mới được như vậy đó, cái mới qua những cái cảnh giới như vậy, mình cầu cũng không được nữa, mình xin cũng không ai cho nữa. Lúc đó mình mới xả được. That's when you can let go very easily. That's when your cultivation will be significant. You will attain significant success. Mình không có ý lại một cái gì hết á. You rely on nothing whatsoever. Cũng như Đức Phật thời đó mà Ngài lên Tiết Sơn mà Ngài chịu tu khổ hành 6 năm trời đó, là không còn cái gì nữa, không còn thái tử, không còn cha, không còn mẹ, không có người tùy tùng nữa. Ai cũng mệt lạ, ai cũng đói. Because it's the same in the Snow Mountain. When the Buddha was cultivating a snow mountain, and he ate one grain of rice and one grain of wheat a day, and at that point in time, you're no longer a crown prince. You forget about your crown prince. You forget about your mother, your father, your children, your wife, even your attendants. Everyone is struggling for survival. Everyone is struggling with the thirst and the hunger pangs. Okay. Lúc mình tu mình nhìn đó nó khác, nhưng mà quý vị không biết tu. But the way she described her experience is different from my experience going through the fasting. Pháp thì mình tu á, dòng mình tu có cái pháp tuyệt thực á. We have a dharma that's a fasting dharma. Okay. Trong thời gian đó mình luyện công. We meditate, we practice during this fasting dharma. Đang luyện công, thành ra không bị cái cảnh mà nó liệt mà nó kể như thấy chết luôn nè. Okay. What happened difference in her experience, I mean my personal experience is that when you meditate, okay, you do not run out of strength. Lúc mình không có đồ ăn như vậy, okay, thì mình không có kiệt sức, mình mới còn sức như thường. Đừng nó đói dễ sợ lắm. But the hunger pangs are there. Cái cơn đói nó tới, nó đau đớn dễ sợ lắm. Nó cào cái ruột, nó người nó lạ, nó lệch, nó muốn chết mà mình chết không được. Okay? And because of that, because of the hunger pangs, these attacks, you're so exhausted and it hurts so much that you want to die and yet you cannot die. It's a different experience and hurts. And cái kinh nghiệm đó, cái lúc cái tu luyện nó khác cái trường hợp mà cảnh đã qua. Cảnh lúc đó là không có tu luyện, không có cái sự lựa chọn, thì ngồi nó phải chịu trận thôi. Chịu chết thôi, chỉ đợi chết thôi, ngồi đợi chết thôi. Còn bên này là mình có sức, mình nhất định mình không chịu ăn, mình lừa là không ăn để mình tự dài vò lấy. So the difference is that she has no choice because she has no food and no drinks. When we cultivate and we go through this fasting dharma, we have the choice to eat, to get out, and yet we don't. Okay? It's different. Hai kinh nghiệm nó khác nhau. Cái khác ở chỗ là thầy nghe cảnh thưa hỏi từ cảnh có muốn chết là không này nọ. Lúc đó mình chết rồi mình coi mình chết đâu có cái đâu có chọn được nữa đâu. Còn bên này là mình đang sống mà nó đau đớn rồi mình muốn chết đi. Nó đau đớn quá này, nó đau dễ sợ. And so that's why it's a different experience, because when we cultivate and go into fasting dharma, it hurts so much when the hunger pangs come. And it hurts so much you want to die and yet you cannot. You really want to die. Lúc đó mình muốn chết. Lúc mình đang tu mà nó đói, nó lạ rồi mình nói nó đau đớn như vậy thôi mình chết đi. Tại nó đau đớn quá này. Nó dễ sợ lắm. So it's slightly different experience. But we have similar results. Mặc dù như vậy cái kết quả nó tương tự như nhau. Tại vì sau khi mà quý vị mà sống còn rồi thì mới thấy rằng nhìn cuộc đời mới có con mắt dửng dưng được. If you can survive these experiences, it changes your outlook on life. You look at all your prior attachment with so much detachment, so much easier to detach. Okay? All right. Any other question? Ai thắc mắc gì không? Nghe mà Thạnh cái cảnh đó là con nhận hoàn cảnh mà con này qua con nhận thấy dễ sợ luôn á. And it's scary to hear what she has to go through. These both people have to experience. Họ đâu có chuẩn bị đâu. Cái số mạng, cái đó số mạng chứ không phải là vấn đề chuẩn bị. Mà hồi đó không có cầu quán thêm Bồ Tát này, không biết cầu này.
thì lúc đó tự nhiên tụi con cũng được mặt sống vậy đó, thấy nó vậy là cầu những mặt của bọn tụi con vô bờ khi nào cũng đứng lên đứng tụi gió như máu nhưng mà mặt sống đứng lên vậy đó, là nó nghĩ đâu có đi được đâu, tự nhiên đứng vậy theo đó, nó nói vậy đó này, rồi 2 ngày còn sống thôi, còn sống 2 ngày liên tục này, tự cái tụi nó cầu bộ tụi con vô bờ khi nào còn khác thì có tầm 7 ngày này, thì nó ngay hồi đó là ông nội con chết không có được uống nước, mà tại vì con là tại vì cứ con đi 19 rồi, bác sĩ 3 chiếc tàu mà bỏ hết luôn rồi, đi gần 100 người 3 chiếc tàu, là cũng từ nhà thôi, nhưng mà đi ra thôi đó thầy, bắt đầu từ đã có chuẩn bị, chính đi từ ùa ra đi hết từ chuẩn bị, 98% từ đó là qua chiếc tàu nhà của con thì rất là nhỏ, tại cái tin đâu rồi cái tàu nghiêng qua nước luôn luôn lại cái chuyện mà đang ăn của mình thả nó nằm cái đó thật, đang ăn này cái đó thật, còn đây quá thì người cứ lòng không có dưng lại đâu có biết là không cái gì đâu thầy, mà khi mình ăn mình bỏ nó lúc nó sụt lên mà thì cái tàu nghiền nó thầy tụi qua nó sẽ vô nhưng mà cái giá đâu lên là chạy vô bờ lại để thả là bà nước xuống đi để nó tự động hơn thì đi ta trở lại, thì không may á thì đi vô trong đó là bộ đội thích nó chạy nó đã không như đó rồi, khi mà tàu vô chạy xuống là nó bắt cái chân bắt cái tù, thì có nhiều người chết ở đó là vì tương lai cải tạo cấp phá các nước nó vậy, vô đó là số công nghệ đi á, thì đi chui được kiến tạo không, khi mà vô độc rộng kêu lên nó thắng chết,
bắn sư tử luôn.
Dạ, kêu không lên là thắng chết này đó luôn, kiểu thả bọn đăng ký khi nó vô đó cũng chạy nữa, thì con cũng chạy con cái cậu đã bây giờ ở tù chứ giờ nó chạy đâu, thì ông vô đó chạy tiêu, thì ông nói ông vô đó chạy thì
ông xã mà chuyên môn bỏ hài bài không chạy.
Trình bày rồi ông khép cùng mà ông lấy buổi khô cậu khép ông đi ra đó đấy, dẫn đi, thì nó sửa là người làm đẩy tụ cái đâu biết là người biên, chính ông là người biên, thì nó một cái áo người biên qua đây là vậy đây là không có cái gì biên không, chính là ông là người biên, ông giáo dạng người đó, còn những người mà nó bắt mối gì biên nó thành vàng á, thì nó ôm nó chạy như này, thì mấy người đó có chạy được lọt, thoát được lọt, thì ông số nó thả ông số nó được từ lợi, nó lên đổ thành cái chuyện con vô tù ba này, ba này đó thì ba con nó ổng tù con áo, bảo lãnh tôi về, thì nó hỏi con là bây giờ chồng con nó bây giờ nó chưa có kể cái đạn đâu biết chồng con đâu là cái anh bắn chết hay là cái bắt cái chúng đâu biết chồng lên mà đặc biệt cái chồng con trốn ra luôn mà không biết sao được không, nó bắt ra những con ba này ba con nó chịu đi rồi, thì trốn một tuần thì chỉ nhìn những mà thấy mà nó biết phải là nó bây giờ nhà cửa con thì tôi cũng đưa cô đi đụng tới nói, đưa cô đi là em như đi đường xa kéo đánh cái gì đó làm đủ làm nãy được con biết, thì con lúc đó bây giờ con nghĩ là giờ nhà tôi ở bây giờ ra bây giờ ở nhà thì sợ như vậy, thì lúc con làm con xuống về thì 2 tuần lễ sau thì gia đình của ông chú của bà đi đó, thì bắt đầu con đi ra lại bắt đầu con đi nữa, con liên lạc được đi nữa, đi ra trong cái tàu đó thì đi ra thì vừa leo tàu và để bắn những cái em ban đầu không biết được thì là lúc nó chết không vậy không biết chết để leo tàu chạy, thì ra thì ông nội con thấy ông nội ủa mà đi chạy nữa hả, mà đi chạy nữa hả, sao bị ngu cái gì, mày đi gì mình tới vô nữa, sao người ta có chết ở cái tay có chết nó hết chưa rồi, mà có một câu nói không mà chuyện lên nói vậy, nhiều khi mà ông gì thích nhất,
That's not the first time she tried to cross the ocean. She tried twice before and she failed miserably. especially her grandfather, also failed with the first trial where they hired 3 boats to organize the escape, and they failed, and they had to go back because, and so the grandfather made a vow and said, "I'd rather die in the ocean. I never come back." That's why the third time when they tried together, he's the first one to die after 1 week because he used to eat so much. And he ate, he enjoyed food a lot. And after the first week or so, he's one of the first few ones to die. She says that if you can starve, then you can live longer. Whether you eat too much, then your life is short. So there is experience. He says that when you try to help people who are starving, what you do is you cook some rice congee, rice congee with mung beans, and you don't give it to them. You only let them sniff it. And then after 15 minutes to half an hour, you allow them to drink the water only, the water from the soup. And then you allow more salt stuff. That's how it's done. That's correct. Cái pháp đó là đúng đó. And I can relate to that. Thầy kể cái vị biết á, khi mà cái lần đầu tiên mà thầy tuyệt thực á, chú tuyệt thực một lần á, okay, last on a few days, okay, nhìn nói vài ngày chị cũng nói bỏ cuộc. Cái xong tại sao bỏ cuộc? Tại thèm đồ ăn quá. I was craving for food. Sau 3 ngày, after 3 days of fasting, your body, sau mà khi mình nhìn đói sau hơn 3 ngày mà cái bộ phận tiêu hóa mình nó thay đổi, nó không làm việc nữa. After 3 days or so or more, your digestive system shuts down. It doesn't work anymore. It has nothing to do. Tự động nó không làm việc nữa. Và khi cái vị cho đồ ăn vào một cái là nó không biết làm gì hết. So when you start eating again, it doesn't know what to do. So what happened is that my first failure, cái khổ thầy là khi mà vài ngày xong cái mình bỏ cuộc, tại nó đói, mình thèm quá đi, you're so hungry, okay, and no one knows, so đâu không ai biết mình tuyệt thực mình thất bại, đâu ai biết, đâu có gì đâu mà mắc cỡ. So you don't not afraid to lose faith because no one knows that you're fasting and you will fail, right? So after vài ngày xong mình bỏ cuộc, mình thèm ăn, tại lúc mình nhớ những đồ ăn là ngon, mình thèm quá đi. Như cái ông này một ngày mà những cái đồ ăn ngon là ông nhớ hiện ở trước mắt ông ngay lập tức, cái vị thế tưởng tượng 3 ngày nữa còn to hơn nữa, nó to như cái, you see, after a few days whatever you want to eat is this big in front of your eyes, and you even you close your eyes you still can see it, nhắm mắt vẫn thấy được như thường. And that's why I give up. Hôm đó ăn đồ ăn ngay lập tức, ăn đồ ăn cứng ngay lập tức. And boy, they have diarrhea. Trời ơi, xin lỗi cái vị, nó đi kiết. Nó đâu làm được, đi cả ngày luôn. And the funny thing is that it doesn't matter. As soon as I go back and I ate again the same stuff again. Cái đó nó
xong rồi á, khi mà mình hết cái ngày mà
cái đó là kỹ thuật để mà xuống ký đó.
một tuần sau đó mình muốn ăn lại đó, không ăn lại người chết đó, nên phải lấy cái gừng sắc hạt mỏng ra, cái muỗng bọt mình ra nấu lên ra rồi còn mình bỏ cái gừng ra mà gừng khô, rồi lấy ra cắt một xíu thôi, không như cái cháo mình nói nãy, một tiếng một sau mình ăn cái đó lỏng ăn vô cắn cái chết vậy.
Ăn đồ căng cứng không được. Thành ra lúc mà tiêu thực xong phải ăn cháo mà cháo lỏng thiệt lỏng, chứ ăn uống nước thôi. Yeah. So you Westerners don't know what it's like to undergo hunger and thirst. You are so blessed. Okay. Quý vị mấy người Tây phương, mấy người trẻ bây giờ đâu có biết cái khổ là gì. Cái thế hệ mình mới là khổ, phải không cảnh? Mấy nhỏ sau này tụi nó sướng quá. Nó sướng quá. Hả? What do you mean? There's a lady over here. She's a full-blooded Westerner. Yeah. You hear any accent in her English? Him too. Look behind you. He raised his hand too. He said, "Me too," he says. Yeah. Oh, and then another Westerner online. No, really, unless you undergo suffering and you survive the suffering, it's very difficult to cultivate. Quý vị biết không? Trừ khi mà quý vị sẵn sàng nhận cái khổ mà thoát khỏi cái khổ đó, tu nó dễ lắm. Còn mà quý vị chưa biết cái khổ gì, tu không được đâu. This is the thing about cultivation. Unless you suffer, unless you face pain and survive, you cannot cultivate. Sự thật là vậy đó. Trừ khi quý vị thấy khổ đó, tu mới được. Không thấy khổ là tu không được đâu. Yes. Hỏi Ngân. Hi Hitler. And Go Yin says something is very important. She says, I listened to the story for over an hour and a half now. And she realizes that if it's so difficult here, it's so much suffering here, and you are not willing to face it, you can't take it. How can you possibly expect to make it to the Pure Land? Tại cái đó đúng, this is true, because cái tịnh độ, cái pháp đó là mình phải chán, yếm ly. The Pure Land Dharma is that you are bored and you want to detach, you want to leave. Okay, you are bored this life here, and that's why you want to leave. If you still have any attachment to this world, it's very difficult for you to leave. Cái pháp nó dễ sực, tịnh độ nó dễ sực. Quý vị nghe người ta nghe tôi nói cái này, quý vị đọc sách đó, những cái bài đọc sách mà không biết cái ý nghĩa của nó. Yếm ly nghĩa là sao? Tịnh độ yếm có nghĩa là mình chán chường, không thể tưởng được, thành mình muốn rời bỏ nó. Ok? Mà nếu như quý vị còn chưa chán chường cái độ mà muốn vẫn còn chấp chứa nó, còn bám víu nó là đi không được đâu. That's why if you're still attached to this world in any way, anything at all, it's very difficult for you to leave for the Western Christian. Cái này mấy người giảng tịnh độ chưa giảng rõ ràng cái phần này. Quý vị mà còn tham năm chấp trước này, nó là cột chân quý vị nói đi không được đâu. Let me explain to you. If you are still attached to this world, it's very difficult for you to leave. So difficult because you're still tethered to this world. You cannot get out. You cannot possibly leave. Okay? Thành sự thật á, nói như vậy thôi. I explain to you. It's nothing to be alarmed. Đừng có sợ. Okay? Mình biết á, mình còn sống á, làm sao mình không có chấp trước được. I'm telling you, the truth of the matter is that as long as you're alive, how can you tell me that you have no attachments? I know you attach to your family, to your daughter. Thầy biết chắc chắn cái gì là mình còn sống mà sao chấp trước, chắc chắn mình còn chấp trước con gái mình. Nhà còn con, đúng không? Lúc đó cái thân mình khổ thôi, bây giờ mình nhìn đứa con mình vẫn thương, sao mà bỏ nó được? So you may undergo the suffering yourself, but you look at your children. You say, "Oh, I'm very attached. I love my children. How can I let go? It's too difficult." And that's, anh nói thật á, là mình khó mà bỏ gia đình mình lắm. It's very difficult for us to let go of our family. Sao mà bỏ được? Thì nếu trường hợp như vậy, thầy hỏi cái vị, làm sao mình đi Tây Phương Cực Lạc bây giờ? Mình đâu có yếm đâu, mình không mê nó mà sao mình ly được? So the fact, the truth is that you are attached to your family. How can you possibly have a good chance of leaving if you're so attached? Làm sao bây giờ? I'm glad somebody asked. Vì có người hỏi thầy làm sao mình bỏ mình đi bây giờ? How? Cái này phải giảng cái phần mà trình độ mà giảng cho rõ ràng cho thầy hiểu, nó khó dễ sợ lắm. Cái đừng nói là dễ, mấy cái ông người trình độ chứng nó là dễ, đừng có lo, dễ lắm. Cái niệm Phật là chắc chắn là đi. They all tell each other it's very easy to recite the Buddha's name. I'm sure you're going to fame rebirth. This is like a patriarch, như tổ sư nói mà. Rồi, một câu hả? Ok. Yeah. Làm sao mới đi bây giờ? How do you go? You're so attached to it. You're so attached to your house. Mình chấp trước cái nhà mình, chấp trước cái xe mà attached to your car, attached you to your family, chấp trước cái gia đình mình, sao mà đi được? Sao bỏ con trai mình được? Sao bỏ mẹ mình được? How? Làm sao bây giờ? Làm sao? You can give all you want, but deep down in your heart, nó khó dễ sợ lắm. Làm sao mình xả được? He says, I go first and then I save myself and I come back and save for the rest of you. That's a promise. Mình hứa để tôi đi cho yên thân, rồi khi mà tôi đi mà tôi thành công rồi trở về, tôi hứa tôi sẽ cứu quý vị. Sao thầy hi là giá là tụi mình. Tại nên cái đó có vẻ giống như tiểu thừa quá. Yeah? How you do it? Làm sao bây giờ? Figure it out, là thầy cũng chưa nghĩ ra nữa. Cái này nó có vẻ khó quá. Sự tiếp xúc. So he says when he was in labor camp, he's allowed every 6 months to see 2 of his family members. That's 2 only. That's it. Ngồi gặp được bao lâu? Half an hour. So as he met with his 2 of his family members, the guard was right there within an earshot to listen to what he has. That's what they talk about at the same table. Okay. The guard was sitting on the same table listening to the conversation, listening in. And after half an hour, you know that it's not enough. You still want to continue, but you know time is up. So you stand up. You can't leave. But you know it's useless. So what you do is what he did is he turned his back on them and walked away without looking back, because he knew that's the only way to deal with it is to walk away. There's nothing else you can do. Because if you prolong it anyway, you only prolong your suffering. Làm sao mình bỏ được bây giờ? How? Con Ngân sao bỏ bây giờ? Yes. What? You get help. How? That's right. That's right. Quý vị bỏ không được á, thì phải nhờ người ta. Chứ sao mình bỏ không nữa thì mình yêu cầu người ta giúp mình chứ sao? Và lúc đó sau khi quý vị chết rồi, nó bỏ dễ hơn trước khi quý vị còn sống. What happens is after you die, it's easier to let go when you're alive. After you die, it's much easier to let go than when you're alive. Much easier because you have no more choice. Lúc đó quý vị không còn quyết định nữa. Mình muốn, như cái ông này nói vậy, mình muốn nói chuyện tiếp, nó cũng không nói chuyện được nữa, thì mình nói chuyện tiếp làm cái gì? So you know that even if you're attached to it, to the person you love, it's nothing you can do. So what's the point? Mình tự dai vò mình thôi. That is when you know it's much easier to let go. Okay? Lúc đó xả mới được. Cái lúc mình còn sống xả khó lắm, rất là khó. Mình nói cái miệng nói là vậy thôi, chứ còn you can talk all you want, but in your heart it's very difficult. Nó khó dễ sợ lắm. Okay? Alright? Mà không phải là vấn đề, không phải nó không giản dị như cái vị tưởng đâu. Mấy cái người đừng có tưởng là lúc đó là xả dễ đâu. Lúc đó cái nghiệp chướng nó tới, là chết ngắt nữa. So what complicates the matter is your karmic obstruction arises. Okay, even though you're able to let go the loved one easier, but then it's a karmic obstruction. Then rear the ugly heads. Đó nghiệp chướng nó tới, nó đè cho mình ná thở luôn. Okay. All right. Anything else? Thôi mà nói chưa nó phát một tí. Okay. Okay, so last we talked about this is suffering is nature of oppression. Cái này kể chuyện dài dòng để cho quý vị nhớ lại. Cái khổ đó nó làm mình nó áp bức mình. Okay? So the nature of suffering is that you can't take it. Áp lực nó lớn dễ sợ. Nên tuần trước mình nói đó, khi cái khổ của cái thế gian này, cái gì biết sao? Là cái áp lực là luôn luôn nó có mặt, là cái gì don't biết mình đang khổ. So again last week, to remind all of you, last week we started talking about suffering. The nature of suffering is oppression. Oppression meaning there's pressure. You feel the constant pressure. Quý vị cảm thấy áp bức dễ sợ lắm, áp lực dễ sợ lắm. Đó là cái khổ trong cuộc đời mình. You feel the pressure, nhất là thế giới này, cuộc sống bây giờ mình áp bức về thời gian, phải không còn Ngân? You have pressure from time. Pressure from your loved one. Cái áp bức của những cái sự ao ước, những cái nguyện vọng của người thân yêu của mình. Pressure from your loved one's desires. Okay? Expectations. Ta áo ước, ta mong muốn, mình bị áp bức. Alright? So that's a nature of suffering. There's constant pressure, oppression. That's the nature of our existence. Quý vị để ý cho coi, cuộc sống của mình chưa muốn bị áp bức với cái thì giờ. We're so pressed for time, aren't we? Có ai thấy cái đó không? Khi nào mình không đủ thì giờ, you don't have enough time to do things, especially things we like to do. Những gì mình muốn làm không được. You don't have that problem on text? No. So you have time. So you have no suffering whatsoever. So what kind of suffering you undergo? Còn cái loài khác là sao? Tôi hỏi ông da trắng này, ông bị khổ, ông có kẹt thì giờ nó không, thì giờ tôi có nhiều dễ sợ. Thì hỏi về ông hoàn toàn cuộc sống ông không có sự đau khổ gì. Nó có chứ, tôi khổ. What kind of suffering do you have? The people who have time, những người mà có thời giờ là tại sao vậy? Why do they have time? Okay, we won't talk about it. Những cái người mà ông nói là cái này nó hơi riêng tư một tí, phải nó riêng tư phải nói. We're not supposed to have time. There's always the constant pressure of time. Luôn luôn mình bị thời giờ nó áp bức. You just don't understand the time pressure, that's all. You're under time pressure. Ông là đang bị thời giờ nó áp bức. Am I right?
Yeah.
You're under time pressure. Come on. You are not admitting it. That's all. Okay. So what kind? Why are you under time pressure? What kind of time pressure? Cái mạng sống mình nó khục dễ sợ đó. Mình không bao lâu mình sẽ tắt thở. We don't have much time left. Okay. For me, it's another 20 years. Thầy có 20 năm nữa là cuộc sống là nó xong rồi. My life would be done. Would be horrible. Okay, and very Sinchu says, what about time pressure with the people who drive very fast to get back to the husband? Về nhà chứ sợ ông chồng cũng la, nó sao đi đeo lâu dữ vậy, bỏ bê tôi. How come you spend more time in the temple and you spend with me? Sounds familiar? Chồng chuyên môn nói là bà thích ở chùa hơn là thích ở với tôi. Okay, so the nature of suffering is that we are being oppressed. And cái khổ của cuộc đời chúng ta là bị cái sự áp bức, đủ cái loại áp bức hết, all kinds of pressure, all kinds of oppression. That's the nature of our existence. It's constant, isn't it? I am amazed at how nowadays young people feel the oppression already. Thời buổi này mấy người trẻ đó, học trường tiểu học, trung học, trong cái đầu tháng là bị áp bức. Thì giờ they all complain about pressure, time pressure already. Okay. And this next teaching is this is accumulation, is nature, is feeling that beckons. Cái nhị đế đó là cái tập á, cái bản tính của cái tập á, tập đế đó là cái bản tính nó đó là cái cảm giác, cảm thọ mà nó thu hút mình. Feeling that beckons. No, not that. It's even more precise than that. It's that those pleasant feelings that entices you, that entraps you, that cause you to submit to suffering. Cái tập đó, tập đế nó rất là thâm sâu cái vị tưởng. Cái cảm giác, cái cảm thọ, cái cảm giác mình có đó, nó khiến mình đam mê, ok, và nó thu hút mình, nó lôi cuốn mình để mình sẵn sàng chịu cái khổ mà không coi nó là cái khổ. Not only does it beckons you, does it entrap you, entices you, it forces you into not thinking that is suffering. Chấp nhận cái đó, mình chấp nhận cái sự thật của cuộc sống mình đó, là mình không coi nó là khổ. We don't look at all things as suffering. And yet, it's pleasant to us. That's why we keep on seeking. Thành ra những cái cảm thọ mà quý vị thấy mà sung sướng thoải mái đó, nó thu hút quý vị đó. Đó là cái tập. Anyone has that problem? Và có những cái cảm giác sung sướng thoải mái mà thích thú mà hút, muốn tìm lại không? Any of you has this these pleasant feeling you're seeking and you're looking for? Time and time again, every day, mỗi ngày. Sure, you have some? Hey boy, you have some? You raise your hand or not? You don't have that problem, do you? He doesn't know what we're talking about. Nó nhỏ quá. It's not only, Joseph, for your information, it's not only pleasant feeling, it's also very unpleasant feelings like being with a young girl you do not like. Cái này không phải là chỉ cái cảm thọ mà nó dễ chịu, còn những cảm giác nó khó chịu nữa. Okay? These unpleasant feelings, they don't necessarily beckon you, but they force you to constantly avoid it. That's suffering too. Mình né cũng là khổ nữa. Hiểu không? You understand? If you're seeking the pleasant feeling, that's suffering. If you avoid this unpleasant suffering, it's also suffering. Unpleasant feeling is also suffering. Nhớ như vậy. Mình né những cái cảm giác mà khó chịu, cái đó là khổ luôn nữa. Yes. Yes, it's accumulation. So avoiding is no accumulation? Are you saying avoiding these unpleasant feelings is not accumulation? Theo ông hỏi, ông nói hình như là cái tập làm sao mà gọi là né? Yes or no? Yes. Isn't it? Isn't it accumulation? No, ông đang nói tôi hiểu được á là những cảm giác mà sung sướng á, tôi truy cầu nó là cái tập là đúng, là tôi muốn tìm những cái cảm giác này sung sướng này. Cái điều nói về mình né những cái cảm thọ mà nó khó chịu thì làm sao gọi là tập được? It's not accumulation. Avoiding unpleasant feeling, not avoiding accumulation. Be careful. It's very precise. Avoiding unpleasant feelings. That's also accumulation. Agree or disagree? Well, you find out over the years. You disagree with me. You agree with me later. You disagree with me right now, but next week, next month, you agree. He says, for example, he has experience. His friend has he detests his wife. He can't stand his wife. Okay, so what he does every day, he comes up, he goes home, and comes up with different excuses to get out of the house. That's accumulation. Is it clear? Huh? That's accumulation. It keeps on accumulating. The unpleasant accumulates. Okay? Any question? Ai thắc mắc gì không? Cái lời Phật dạy nó sâu xa dễ sợ. The Buddhist teaching is so profound. Mình sống nhưng mà đâu có để ý đâu. We accept and we find it to be normal. It's not normal. It is accumulation. It is suffering. It is accumulation. Vì để ý chứ coi. Cuộc sống mình nó khổ, nó tập. Khổ dễ sợ, áp lực dễ sợ. Tập là nó có lôi cuốn mình hoài, nó kéo mình vào. kéo mà mình thoát nó không được. They keep on entrapping us. Rồi cái tập, ok, nó cứ dồn dập, nó chồng chất lên nhau. Disempowering up. Okay? Suffering piling up on each other. Okay? Muốn cái cảm giác này sướng thì bây giờ mình ăn cho nó no, cho nó sướng, hả? Ăn cho sướng xong đó, thì mình phải mua cái giường, cái nền cho nó êm ái để mình ngủ cho nó sướng. See, after you eat good meal, when you go home, you want to buy a very, very good bed. Okay? Right? To continue the pleasant feeling. And then before you go to bed, you should get a massage. Thì trước khi mình đi ngủ, mình cho đấm bóp, tẩm quất một tí. You see? You keep on adding, chồng chất với nhau. Nó tập. She says, oh, it's amazing you talk about sleep. I'm so sleepy. Thèm ngủ dễ sợ. Okay? Không, tại vì cái giờ đầu đáng lý ai cũng ngủ. Jin Xiang says, I'm so sleepy I had to go and wash my face, throw water on my face. It's because normally the first hour everyone sleeps. And today, because of Cảnh story, everyone's awake. Now everyone's sleeping in the second hour. Ngày hôm nay nó khác tí, tại giờ đầu tiên cô Cảnh kể chuyện vượt biên. Là giờ thứ nhì ai cũng buồn ngủ. Now everyone's sleeping on the second hour. She has many more stories she could tell you to keep you awake in the future. Okay? Cái mà khó nhất trong cuộc đời mình là mình không thấy được cái cách hành động của mình. Cái mình qua mình chấp nhận cái đó là tự nhiên. What's great about the Buddhist teaching is that it helps us look at how we function, which we accept to be normal. Okay? Cái mình chấp nhận đó là cái khổ, cái tập mà mình cũng thấy nó luôn, nó dễ sợ như vậy. What's fascinating to me is that how wise it is the Buddha can have those insights, how revealing the teaching is. Là cái đó là căn bản của tu hành Phật giáo, mình nhìn mà Đức Phật giảng để quý vị nhìn ngược lại mình. So that's typical of the Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teaching is designed to help you look at yourself, not look outside. Cái Phật giáo mình tu là dạy quý vị để khuyến khích để mà tự nhìn lấy, chứ không nên nhìn ra ngoài. Nhìn ra ngoài là đi trật đường rồi. Nghe không cái bà Hồng? Niệm Phật cũng vậy. Niệm Phật để tự nhìn lấy. Mà niệm Phật mà nói tôi niệm Phật để tôi đi theo phương cực lạc là chết ngắt. Cái đường pháp thật khó mà vãng sanh. Muốn vãng sanh thì nhìn mình mới vãng sanh. That's why I remind all of you, we all love you, Pure Land practitioners. If you think you practice Pure Land, you keep on looking at the Pure Land, look at how other people are getting rebirth, it will be very difficult for you to get rebirth. If you want to maximize your chance of getting rebirth, you look at yourself. Đừng có ỷ lại người ta. You cannot depend on others. Yeah, look at yourself. What have I done to deserve going for rebirth? Mình tự hỏi mình lấy. Mình đã từng làm cái gì hả con để xứng đáng được cái vãng sanh? Đừng có nói người ta vãng sanh thì tôi cũng vãng sanh được. Cái đó nhìn ra ngoài. You say, if this woman here, she attains rebirth, if this peacock attains rebirth, then I should be able to attain rebirth too. That's a wrong approach. Nghe rõ ràng không? Mình nhìn người ta nói người ta đi được, tôi đi cũng được. Cái bà kia, bà Basiloko cô lần như vậy cũng đi cũng được. Người không có tu hành niệm Phật chứ mà đi được, tại sao tôi đi cũng được? Cái đó là trật rồi. Mình nhìn phải hỏi ngược lại, mình đã làm cái gì để xứng đáng nhìn những người kia để mà đi được. Thành mấy cái pháp mà con học cái pháp phải nhìn cho kỹ, là cái pháp nó có đúng với cái tứ diệu đế là không. This is why when you practice the Dharma, it's very important for you to be aware it's everything Dharma, or every single Dharma is consistent with these four noble truths. bất cứ cái pháp nào của Đức Phật dạy đều nó tương ưng với cái pháp tứ diệu đế này. Cái gì mà tu hành mà không chịu khổ, chịu cực chịu khổ thì khỏi nói chuyện vãng sanh. If you are not willing to endure suffering, don't talk about, don't seek, don't expect to be reborn to the Western bliss field, right? Because it's against the Four Noble Truths. Đi ngược lại tứ diệu đế. Không có cái pháp nào như vậy hết. Không thể nào nói tu niệm Phật mà tu sung sướng thôi. Thì như vậy thì cái tứ diệu đế nó trật rồi. Hiểu không? If you say, I recite the Buddha's name and I feel good and it makes me feel good and this is a wonderful Dharma, then it contradicts the truth of suffering. Your practice is erroneous. Pháp cái vị tu nó sai rồi. Is that clear? Our life is predominantly suffering. Because it's the truth. So that if you see it, then you say, what's a big deal? If you see that going to the beach is suffering, so what's a big deal? You cannot go to the beach. What's the point in being so attached to it? What's the point in being so attached to your family and loved ones? The suffering, and yet you deny it. And you fight it. You refuse to admit that loving someone is suffering. And that love accumulates lifetime after lifetime. Seek each other again, to love each other again. That's accumulation. Okay? Time is up. Hết thì giờ rồi. Any final question? Ai thắc mắc gì cuối cùng không? Alright, if not, then we stop at the same slide. We made it to the second sentence. Ngày nay mình ngừng lại ở đây tại mình tới được một cái câu thứ nhì rồi. So we're making progress, I guess. Alright. So we're gonna stand up and do the translation. And he really got so little to show for, which is pitiful. So my point here is that you can grind it out, but it is much more efficient to get guidance. Okay, grinding out works for a very limited number of people. Superior people like Master Xu Yun, who could grind it out his entire career. Okay, that's how he got there, albeit not as high as he could have if he had some better directions. Okay. Anyway, that's why we're learning. We make sure that we learn from the great teacher. Don't waste time. I'm trying to remind you not to waste time. Listen to the lesser instructions. Master Hsuan to me is the best I've seen. Okay, in this Dharma ending age, bar none. So it may sound simple, but actually it's very, very, very good instructions. So that's why we're studying his teachings and we listen to it and we'll plant the seeds for great enlightenment for you. Okay, I hope. Okay, so here we are continuing with from the last where we're picking it up where we left off, the last Chanchi, some sort of Indian master here who came to China to propagate the Dharma, and circumstances have made him stay in the mountains and to cultivate. That's what we have a choice to do. See, if we are cultivators and people who don't support us, Master Sheng would say, if no one supports me, I starve to death. So be it. It's not my fault. When I cultivate, the Dharma protectors are supposed to step up. If they don't, it's their fault. It's not my fault that I die of starvation, that I die from hunger, if I die from poverty, if I die from the cold. It's your fault. You're supposed to protect us. You're supposed to support our cultivation. You don't, it's your fault. Okay? So for a person like Master Hsuan Hua, he says, okay, I die, so be it. But so that's why we have the option. We can simply go to the mountain and practice in the mountain. We don't need to pay rent. You don't need to pay for water, electricity, toilet, sewage, and so forth. Okay, so that's what this Indian monk did. He went to the mountain and practiced, and then he tamed some sort of tiger. Okay, and the wild beasts in the jungle, in the mountain. So he tamed some sort of tiger. Some tiger came and took a cane and tapped the cane on the tiger's head. There's a prior part. I read the prior part a little bit, a few slides before, and spoke Dharma for him. Can you imagine you take a stick and you point it to a tiger and tiger would not attack you? It's cool. Huh? It's impressive. I take a stick and I point it towards Xian Shun. She would run away or either attack me, you know. But the tiger, he would stand there and listen to the bull-headed guy speak something to him. Okay, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a very cool state. So you know this monk is unusual. He's no ordinary monk. If you take a cane and tap it on my head, I get very upset. Okay, so you can imagine how the tiger would feel. And then the tiger, after he listened to Dharma, he went away, never bothered him again. And he spoke Dharma for the tiger. I don't know, maybe tiger language, could be. And after that, they stopped eating people. Are we there yet? We start on slide 5? Oh, okay. Continue.
游过这么几次啊，咱们以后这个人呢，再见到这个山上的老虎啊，他也不咬人了。
After a few times, when this person sees the tiger in this mountain again, it stopped biting people.
在这个山上，他住了，大约有1-2年。
On this mountain, he, Dharma Master Gunavarman, lived there for another year or 2.
以后啊，这个宋文帝一定啊要请他到南京去。到南京啊，那个不住，他就去了。
Later, Emperor Wen of the Song dynasty insisted on inviting him to Nanjing. He invited him to live in Nanjing, so he went there.
See, this is a difference of the times. Okay, back then, the emperors, our leaders, have blessings. And that's why they appreciated the Buddha Dharma. They appreciated, they understood the importance of spirituality. Nowadays, you don't have such leaders anymore. Back then the emperors would sponsor the monks and build temples and so forth. Nowadays, they don't. Nowadays, it's tax breaks. It's all money-driven and votes-driven. Okay? And that makes it much more difficult for people to cultivate. And so the emperor heard of him, and so you understand the mindset of such an emperor. He says, I'm looking for virtuous people. And I heard this virtuous person, let's invite him. Okay? And so that we can benefit from his wisdom, from his insights. So that's why he invited the Indian monk to move to the capital city.
去了这个宋文帝呀，就讲，我现在呀做皇帝，本来我也想吃斋。
He went there. Emperor Wen of Song said to him, I am now the emperor. Originally, I wanted to be a vegetarian.
但是在我这个环境之下，也没不可能，这个情形呢，很复杂，不许可我吃斋，这怎么办呢？
But in my environment, it's not possible. My situation is very complicated. It doesn't allow me to be a vegetarian. What shall I do?
Okay, now, one thing that you need to be aware of, we talk about how the Chinese emperors used to honor the monks of virtues, wisdom, and that's the tradition they set for their own, not the country alone, but what they did for those great emperors, they taught their own children the importance of seeking out the wise teachers, okay, and seeking out the Dharma, because you look at the Dharma as a treasure, as a real asset to the country. So far, so good. Those are the blessings from the emperor and blessings from the people. Now it's not the case anymore, so we need to be aware of that. And now, at a smaller scale, we're not talking about the emperor of the nation. I'm talking about the emperor of the household. That lady, that man there, okay? You listen to this, and you should also look at yourself, that you are in a position of influence. You have the foresight, and you can make a difference to your family. So back then, the people had the blessings. That's why they had a good emperor who would stir them in the right direction. Okay? It's not just the emperor's blessing alone, but also the subject. They have blessings, they have virtues. But now we don't have it because let's not go into politics, okay, Chan Phong? He's going to get all upset again. But you are the emperor of your family. Keep that in mind. You make a huge difference, can make a huge difference in your own children's life, your family's life. That's it. That's all you can do right now. Don't forget it. Okay? Yeah. Continue. So the emperor here, he said, all of a sudden he says, I want to be vegetarian, but I can't. It's too complicated. It's not as simple as it sounds. What do I do? There is beluga, caviar, there is champagne, and there is excellent French food. Yeah, but not enough. Okay, continue.
他就对这个宋文帝说是皇帝的修行和老百姓的修行是不同的。老百姓呢，
He told the emperor Wen of Song, an emperor's cultivation differs from a commoner's cultivation. A commoner
那么这个宋文帝要受五戒，要吃斋，不吃肉。
The emperor Wen of Song wanted to receive the 5 precepts, be a vegetarian and not eat meat.
这个就这功德凯法师说，你做皇帝的修行和老百姓的。
So he begged Dharma Master Gongde Kai. Gongde Kai said, your cultivation as the emperor versus that of a commoner.
老百姓呢，他没有什么威德，他不能做什么好事。
A commoner doesn't have much awesome virtue. He can't do many good deeds.
你这个做皇帝的不需要你自己一定吃斋，你只要做令这个一切的老百姓得到好处。
As the emperor, you yourself don't have to be a vegetarian. You just need to do things that benefit all citizens.
你做种种的好事，这就是修行。这个功德凯法师对这个宋文帝说是
You do all kinds of good deeds, that's cultivation. Dharma Master Gongde Kai told Emperor Wen of Song, that is to say,
譬如你发政思人，请做这个好的政策。
for example, you can decree a policy of benevolence and only do this good policy.
你命令这个老百姓他们少杀生，这就是救了很多的生命。
If you order the citizens to kill less, this action will save many lives.
不是说在你这吃一顿饭不吃一个众生，这就算功德。你要能叫老百姓。
It's not saying that you eating a meal without eating a living being counts towards merit and virtue.
不杀生，只要无形中 你就是吃它。
If you can teach all commoners not to kill, then imperceptibly you are eating vegetarian.
你叫老百姓的孝顺父母，这也就是你孝顺父母。
If you teach all commoners to be filial towards their parents, it's like you are filial to your parents.
你令老百姓的改恶向善，这也就是你自己修行。
If you order all commoners to change from evil to good, this is your cultivation as well.
所以你不必说我少吃一点肉，或者少喝一点酒，这就是修行。
So you don't have to say, I will eat less meat or drink less alcohol. This is cultivation.
做皇帝，你只要能令老百姓都诸恶不作，众善奉行，这就是你自己修行。
As an emperor, as long as you can order the commoners to refrain from doing all evil and doing all good, then this is your own cultivation.
这宋文帝听功德凯法师说完之后，他说
Once Emperor Wen of Song heard Dharma Master Gongda Kai's words, he sighed.
这个一般的沙门呢，他们都迷远；一般的儒者，他们都迷近。
Ordinary Sramanas are all infatuated with conditions. Ordinary Confucians are all infatuated with sutras or scriptures.
Okay, just for clarity, change infatuated are all confused about conditions. It's not infatuated, confused about conditions. And because I want you to listen to this and understand what he's trying to say, and then we'll discuss it later, okay? So if we let you, we allow you to be confused by this, confused by sutras. It's not infatuated. They're confused. They don't understand. That's what Gongda Kai was telling the emperor. Continue.
Ah. 迷远呢，就是讲这个因果循环报应不爽。
Being confused about conditions is to discuss the cycle of cause and effect, i.e., retribution will not fail.
Change it. Okay, very good. Continue.
迷近呢，就只招这个文章或者这个典籍的史书所有的一切这个是经书之类。
Being confused about sutras, scriptures, is an attachment to articles and classical literature, i.e., books, all kinds of sutra books and such.
今天我和法师你这一个谈论呢，这真可以呀，了然天人的大道。
From today's discussion with the Master, it really gave me a clearer understanding of the great Tao of heaven and human beings.
Yeah, don't do Tao. Tao is there. Tao, it uses a D. Yeah. It's
天人这种关系，于是乎就给这位法师造了一个齐桓寺。
The relationship between heaven and human beings. As a result, he built Qi Huan Temple for the Master.
okay. Stop.
这齐桓
Okay. Questions, comments. You have no questions? Seriously? Back there.
Master, so back to the slide.
Which slide?
19 and 20 is that if you were to teach other people not to kill, become vegetarian, or be filial to your parents, you don't have to be filial, then you already become filial and become vegetarian. So does that mean that I teach other people how to cultivate, I don't cultivate, and I'll become enlightened?
Yeah, basically he's saying that if you teach other people to cultivate, you don't have to cultivate. That's what it sounds like to me as a Westerner, educated person. Huh?
I think only if you're an emperor.
Only if an emperor.
Yeah.
But I'm an emperor in my family. I
But
teach my
he's
family.
talking to an emperor.
I'm emperor in my family. I'm sorry, ma'am. You may not think so, but I'm an emperor in my family.
In the Chinese, it says all commoners. 你教老百姓都孝顺父母。
Yeah.
老百姓。
老百姓 is my family.
No, it's not.
No, you don't get it. There is a sphere influence. Emperor is big. I have an influence on my family.
I think the number counts. The number of people counts from this context when I read it in Chinese.
No, it doesn't. Your number is too small. 老百姓 is too small. It should be 千百姓, 万百姓, 一百姓. Yes, there's a question there in the back. No? Okay, no questions, no comments. 7.
Oh, thank you, Master. The one part where it says about the focusing too much on causes and conditions, causes and effect, isn't that like the Pratyeka Buddha method of reaching like Pratyeka Buddhism? To focus on cause and effect? Why is it not good?
Yeah, it matters. What are you talking about, you sacrilegious person? Cause effect is a universal rule. How dare you question cause and effect? Yes, 4.
Master, I sort of agree with Wenbo Shenxing. When Heng says it is a few people that he's going to affect, when the emperor says it, he's affecting his whole, the whole kingdom, all his people. When Master says it, you're affecting all your disciples. That's a lot of people. But when Heng says it, it's only a few people. So it doesn't have the same meaning.
Go ahead,
Master, so if Donald Trump tell you to cultivate, meaning that he's become enlightened?
Okay, so the Chinese are disagreeing with the Vietnamese. Yes, what do the non-Asian think? 7.
Thank you, Master. You know, when I hear do the best with what you have. And when they say that the emperor has awesome virtue, that it's the same type of thing you were saying before with the vows to save all living beings, that this is an instance in which you take on the mind of an emperor to make a great decision to help as many people as possible. And every person that you do help is an example of an awesome virtue.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Anyone else has any problems? Yes, number 4.
From Jane, 区名, 百姓 means 100 surnames. 老百姓区名 his people.
Okay. Same thing. I stand my ground. He has his people. I have my own family. Okay. Anyone else? Diego, he says, I'm so tired. I have no energy. Can I just rest? Okay. Anyone else? No one is curious? Huh? Okay. Let's shelve it for... Yeah, 6?
Master, I was wondering, does that mean that, let's say we have children and grandchildren, and if somehow we're able to influence them or help them in their practice, that then we receive blessings?
Yeah, that's what the Gung Ter Kai, Indian monk, was saying. You don't have to do it. You just have to put more emphasis on teaching others how to do it. Similarly, like I say, I'm too old, I'm too busy, so you do it. You become enlightened. Then I also become enlightened. That's my cultivation. No, you disagree, a Chinese person? A Taiwanese person? 5.
I think that's taking too much liberty out of this context. He didn't say enlightened. He says he'll have great merit and virtues.
You accuse me of taking liberties now? It's getting personal. Wait a minute. I'm just an emperor of my household, my temple. Can I just be an emperor of my temple? It's not taking liberties.
He didn't mention the word enlightened in this context.
It's cultivation. What's the point in cultivating? You're taking things literally. When we say cultivation, the Chinese say, you Chinese people say cultivation. What does it mean? To become enlightened. Yes, ma'am. I will speak for you.
Yes, Master.
You may disagree, but when we say xiu xing, the Chinese say xiu xing, cultivate, it's for purpose, but it's implied. When they say cultivate, is to become enlightened. But the Chinese culture is very subtle. They're not as explicit as us. We are crude. They say, hey, what's cultivation? What for? I say, hey, don't you get it? Oh, you're not Chinese, oh, by the way. So for the Americans, they say we cultivate to become enlightened. But for the Chinese language, cultivate means enlightened, to become enlightened. That's implied. Yes? So what he said is not unreasonable. Go ahead, Q&A. What a lively discussion. I discuss my own subjects. It's okay to disagree. It's okay not to agree. Yes, Q&A.
Phật, thầy con không hiểu, có thể là cái lời chỉ dạy của vị tăng này quá cao siêu, hay là hay là cũng có thể là lời dạy của Ngài không có đúng theo con nghĩ. Nó có một trong hai trường hợp đó, nhưng mà thường thì mình phải làm thân giáo, là mình phải làm trước rồi mình nói sau, chứ mình nói cho thiên hạ làm mà mình không làm thì con thấy nó không có được suôn sẻ lắm.
Amitabha, Master, I might not understand the teaching of this highly Sanghan. Maybe because his teaching is too superior, so that it might be right or wrong. So to me personally, I think that you have to 身教, like you personally cultivate first before you tell other people to do so.
Yeah, cool technology. You can look at his eyes, his face when he's talking. Way in the back there. I only see like a shadow because the lights are so bright here from where I sit. But now I actually can see his eyes in his glasses. He has no hair. So how cool technology is. Okay, anyone else? It's so cool. Yes. He's right in a sense. Oh, now Diego is woke up. You're a bad role model for Ron. Fourth day, Ron can look, in 4 days I can lie down like him. Yes, go ahead, 3.
Thank you, Master. I think, like for example, in my case that I'm cultivating right now, and my wife, she's taking care of all the things in the house. So I was thinking that she may have a lot of blessings because she's helping me be here. She won't be able to cultivate now, but she's planting the seeds for doing it in the future. So I think that's what happened with the emperor. He's helping all of his subjects. So he's planting the seeds that in a future life he will be able to really cultivate.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Speaking like a smart politician. Anyone else? Isn't it interesting? It makes sense to me. Go ahead, Q&A.
Con nghĩ cái lời khuyên của vị sư người Ấn này đó là nó không có chấp vào tướng. Bởi vì khi mà một ông vua mà dùng cái đức trị để cảm hóa muôn dân thì cái đó nó quan trọng hơn là cái chuyện ăn chay hay là ăn mặn. A Di Đà Phật.
Amitabha, I think that the advice from this Indian monk is not to attach to the mark itself, because once you become a king, an emperor, you use your virtue to rule, and cảm hóa is to change, convert, transform 10,000 of your subjects. That is more important than for you to become vegetarian and not drinking wine.
Okay, very good. Sounds good. Yeah, okay. You all make sense from your perspective. Okay, let's talk about, let's discuss it. Let me give you my 2 cents worth. Okay, he says, so the emperor heard of his cultivation, so he says, we could use someone, excuse me, of your wisdom here. So please come to the capital. And he went there. So kudos to the emperor for inviting a person of virtue to the capital to shed lights on his problems and provide new perspectives for the country. Okay, that's so important. And this is a great emperor. It's just something that should be encouraged, and it's not happening anymore. Okay, that's the advantage of having the emperor. So in a Chinese system where they have an emperor, and that's why they don't have to worry that much about re-election and or allegation of fraud and so forth. Okay, so there's a real advantage here that they have, that he has. So invited here to go to Nanjing, and he went there, Emperor says, I have this burning question. I want to be vegetarian. Okay, but it's too complicated. It's not that simple. I cannot be vegetarian, so how do I become vegetarian? I can't. I try to be vegetarian, but I can't. And what happened is that this is what happens when you as a monk go to the emperor's office. Okay? You now have to talk to the emperor, and you have to give the emperor something that more suitable for him, for the emperor. So he says, you're not a commoner, so you're different. Okay? My point here is that, to me, from a purist perspective, this is compromising. Be careful now. He's going to unravel a little bit later. He's compromising himself. He says, I cultivate, but my cultivation is different from yours. Therefore, I excuse you from being vegetarian. I can be vegetarian, others can be vegetarian, but you can be excused. Okay? That is a compromise that usually occurs because you're under pressure. You're given all these honors, all the attention, the promise of support. You don't have to go back to the mountain anymore. And so it's tempting for you as a monk. Sangwok is laughing now. He says, okay? If you go to the, you go and there, this great things you can get: warmth, food, water, sewage, toilets, nice bathrooms for us Americans, okay? Okay, insulation, a roof over your head. You don't have to walk in the rain anymore. And you don't have to go down to the river and fetch water anymore. You have running water. So you have different frame of perspectives all of a sudden. And therefore, you speak differently. And this is what he says. You are different. I understand. To me, this is sort of like parallel, the parallel worlds. Okay? I cultivate, we cultivate, but you don't have to. But your cultivation is different. Why does it have to be different? Are you kidding me? So you're exempt from the commoner's cultivation? So since when is Buddhism discriminatory? He says, I teach you differently from the next person. Because you're different, because you're better, because you are higher status. That's what you run the risk of making your Dharma look like. You have a Dharma that serves the emperor and make it more convenient for him, when the commoners still have to suffer. That Dharma is fine. Okay? But it's not pure. Mahayana. I doubt that Master Shua would say that. I doubt it very much. He's dead already, so I can't confirm it. Yes, 8.
I see the Phật thầy con không understand that why the emperor cannot be vegetarian. I think.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. The reason is that he says, I can't. It's too complicated. It's very difficult for me. And the guy immediately says, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. Don't worry. You're exempt. And here's how you can be exempted.
Sound like
You don't need to know the details, but the point is that he's too quick at jumping to the rescue the emperor. That's my problem. Yes, 4.
From Brady, changing food habits to vegetarian is a method of achieving the greatest good to the greatest many.
Come again?
Changing food habits to vegetarian is a method of achieving the greatest good to the greatest many.
Yes, true. Continue.
From Zhi Hong, in Chinese, we also say 上行下效, which means what is done at the top, those below will follow suit. That is also how the awesome virtue is manifested, another way of teaching.
Absolutely. Buddhism is to teach by example. You cannot say, you should be vegetarian, but I, as an emperor, don't have to be vegetarian because I have state duties. I had to drink with the other emperors. It's necessary for me to force a strong relationship with other emperors because I need to drink with them, I need to go hunting with them, I need to go eat meat with them, lobsters with them, steak and so forth. When you're not enlightened, like the emperor clearly wasn't, you cannot have exemptions like this. That's not the middle way. All of a sudden, the emperor, the Japanese emperor, for example, this is what happened in Japanese Buddhism. What happened is the monks came and taught them, and then or the Japanese monks came to China and learned a lot from a great Chinese teacher. They brought it back and said, I'm going to bring back this great teaching here to my country in Japan. He came back. Emperor called in and said, oh, wonderful, you back. Okay, and exactly what happened here. Same thing happened in Japan. He says, Buddhism is giving exemptions to the Japanese emperor. You don't have to be vegetarian. You can kill. And that's why the shogun would at night read the Buddha Sutra and in the morning and say, go kill. Because they're exempt. So now, Buddhism in Japan serves the emperor, serves the royalty first, not the whole nation. Because they thinking is that you serve the emperor, therefore you serve the nation. So there are double standards in Buddhism. It's no longer Buddhism, you have double standards. For confused people. Confused people are confused people, whether you're an emperor or not, you're still confused. Therefore, you must be taught how to remove your confusion. You don't, you will destroy Buddhism. That's what happened in Japan. Buddhism in Japan is personally weird. The double standards. For confused people. The emperor's confused, but no, since you're emperor, therefore you exempt all these things, therefore you never become enlightened. If you never become enlightened, how are you going to be able to sponsor Buddhism in a proper way? If I allow a Chinese doctor who sponsors me to tell me what to do, or influence my actions, how can I cultivate? I'm asking you. It's a very fundamental question. If I need to answer to you. I need to answer someone who pays for my bills. That's bound to happen. Yes? This is why the Chinese Chan masters would not go to the capital city upon the emperor's invitation. They say, hey, it's not going to work for me. I can't teach you. You're looking for a dharma from me to suit your needs as an emperor, not as a confused emperor. You see the angle here is that he's confused emperor. And this guy here is giving him exemptions for an enlightened emperor. You understand? You enlightened emperor, you don't have to be vegetarian. You can eat anything you want. I can't care less. But if you're confused and you want to become enlightened, become a better emperor, you better be vegetarian. Is it clear? That's why this kind of brand of Buddhism cannot go very far with the emperor, with the country. It didn't last. I don't have any writing or any things from this Gunther Kai, Indian guy. If he has it, I would throw it in a trash can myself. This kind of Buddhism serves the emperor's needs to help him remain confused. How can he be a better emperor if he is allowed to remain confused? This is not a popularity contest. It's not because we need to say something to make the president happy or the emperor happy or the party secretary happy, whatever, okay? It's about what we tell you to help you remove your confusion. That's our jobs. Not to perpetuate your confusion. Because this guy, the emperor, started with a good intention. He says, I want to remove my confusion. I feel that being vegetarian is a good thing for me to get started. Instead of encouraging it, he says, no, you can be exempted. That's what you say to emperors, to please them. You're special, you're exempt from this. You're not as confused, Your confusion will go away eventually. It's a sales pitch. This is what this guy is doing to the emperor. That's why the emperor, so happy, he says, I will build temples for you. I will sponsor a lot of monks and nuns. And the guy went away and said, see, I helped Buddhism become stronger in China. My mission accomplished. Better in the back. Mission accomplished. I built temples. I have monks and nuns studying Buddhism. Resounding success. Can the monks and nuns who depend on such money, such temples, become enlightened, you think? Have you thought about it? Huh? If this temple here, you came to do a chanchi, came about because I stole money from others, I cheated others, okay? In order for the big goal of helping humanity, helping build Buddhism, what are your chances of becoming enlightened if the foundation of your cultivation of this chanchi is based on corruption and thievery and delusion? The food you eat will be tainted. The water you drink. Okay? Yes, 6.
Brady has here, surely you cannot be a confused emperor and really be enlightened, right, Master?
Come again?
Brady McBride has here on YouTube. Surely you cannot be a confused emperor and really be enlightened, right, Master?
Of course not. I feel for this emperor. He started with good intentions. And this guy says, you know what, I have a way, I have an exemption for you. I would throw him out myself. I want no special treatment, you hear? I'm confused. Treat me like a confused person. That's why I ask. It's important because when you come to a temple, okay, you know different from this emperor here. He says, I want to be vegetarian. I want to open my wisdom. I want to cultivate, okay? And because you drive a nice car, and we notice it because you have cameras here in the parking lot, I say, oh, look at that. Who is that? It's Vicky, Lexus, SUV. Okay? So, treat her differently. You know, I remember I was at Blue Mountain Temple. Okay, that tiny, tiny temple over there is not even a temple, like 2 houses put together. About the size of 2 houses put together. And Gu-yin is there because Gu-yin was cooking for us. Okay, back then. It was good times back then. Now Gu-yin doesn't have time for us anymore. So I remember we were very poor and no one took us seriously. And because the relics came, and so I think it's a Vietnamese gentleman family came to our temple because they heard of the relics. So they asked, can we see the relics? Okay, and whatever. And then after they, were shown relics, okay, and they presented me with a check, okay, $1,500. Okay, immediately he wrote a check. Can I make a donation, Master? $1,500. I still remember it. It's a big check for me. And so my point here is that very rarely did I find a first-time visitor give me a check of $1,500. So immediately I said, what kind of car does he drive? So surely enough, it's a Mercedes S-Class. $5 something, it's not even $4. So my point here is that they do things to expect special treatment. So what did I do? I took a check, I put it in my pocket, and it's only later I found out $1,500. I usually take a check and put it in my pocket, okay, to show, oh, thank you. Okay, I don't go like this. Because if I go in like this, I'd be, oh, thank you so much. Okay, so put it like that. And later, that's when I found out the amount. But he was disappointed. It showed in his face. I mean, he said like, is that all? Thank you, that's it? No tea? You're not going to talk to me? Seriously? I just spent $1,500 for nothing? You got my point? This guy expects special treatment, and the monk gave it to him immediately. That's why his Dharma didn't last very long. Because he's serving the elite. Yes, 3.
Thank you, Master. So we can say that he climbed on conditions?
Yes, exactly. That's what Master Shinhua said. Don't climb on conditions. You cultivate. When you're a monk, you better climb on conditions. Because I said, S-class only? Come on, if you're rich, you come to my temple, at least drive a Bentley. Then I pay attention to you. No one yet. That's why I'm saying Bentley, okay? When the next guy drives a Bentley, I say, only a Bentley? Maybach, man. Anyway, so he says, the emperor wanted 5 priests vegetarian or eat meat, and then Gung Te Kai immediately says, I give you an exemption. You are the exception. Of course, you are the exception. I will exempt you from it. Here's the problem. This is why the virtuous Chan masters refuse to go to the capital city to see the emperor and talk to the emperor. Because you go there, you're bound to do this. If you didn't, the emperor would be offended. Like what happened to Bodhidharma. Emperor Wu of Liang dynasty didn't hear what he wanted from Great Master Bodhidharma. And that's why later on, Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty fell and became a hungry ghost. His mistreatment of Bodhidharma precipitated it. So if you do it wrong, you push them down to fall. And if you do it right, they will be offended and then they will ostracize Buddhism. This is why you better off not getting near them. And see, clearly Gung Te Kai was not enlightened yet. That's why he climbed on conditions immediately. Is that clear? So you understand the difference between you and Gung Te Kai. Do you understand? You can be doing a Chan Chi for 20 years. Like that Taiwanese monk I met. He says, I go to China for 20 years now, 8 months. Typically, I spend 8 months of the year in China doing the Chan Chi. But if you do that and you don't have the proper foundation, you can't get very far. This is why you should be so grateful. This is why every evening, morning ceremony, evening ceremony, what do we do? Say, do not climb on conditions. Because if you do, you may be practicing for 20 years, okay? But your doctor supporter calls, say, hey, And your climate conditions, all your merit and virtues are gone. It takes people like Bodhidharma, like Master Shenhua, who decided to make personal sacrifices. Bodhidharma could have a huge series of temples throughout China and spread Buddhism very quickly. All he had to do is be nice to Emperor Wu of Liang Dynasty. That's all it took. Why not? He could have done it, but he didn't. Why not? So that he could transmit it to the second Chinese patriarch, the pure Dharma, not a corrupted Dharma that has been contaminated by power, by money, by influence. Because that, whatever he transmitted to second patriarch, Hui Ge, is the pure Dharma. If he had the temples and he gave all those temples to Hui Ge and say, hey, listen, you're my successor and you have all these institutions, all these followers that you can build upon, okay? Chinese Buddhism would not be as strong, as great as it was. Now you understand why every morning, every evening, you recite, okay, what is it, the 3 principles? Huh? I forgot. You better not forget. Hey, retired spy, what are the 3 principles? You better remember.
Mô Phật và Thầy. Mình Quảng Ngân muốn nói thì cũng hơi dài nữa. Giống cái ông sư này đó, ổng mà bây giờ kể về cái ông sư này, ổng ở Ấn Độ, ổng qua mà ổng nói chuyện tiếp xúc với cái ông vua Đế Thích này đó, là ổng cũng có một cái định lực. Rồi cái người ông vua này đó, ông vua Đế Thích này đó, thì ổng cũng có một cái nước của ổng, đó là cái quyền lực của ổng rất là mạnh. Mà ông vua này đó, ông sư này đó, thì ổng mới khuyên ông này, bây giờ ông á, làm tốt, làm cái gì đó là ông miễn phí hết. Là ông vua Đế Thích này, ông nghe ông cũng tung luận theo, thì ông cũng độ được một số người, chứ không phải là không đâu. Mà cái ông sư này đó, ông cũng độ được cái ông vua Đế Thích này nữa. Mà rồi đó còn muốn đi vô sâu thêm nữa đó, thì muốn lên tới đại thừa đó, thì cái đó là thầy để tùy theo cho ông tu thêm một cấp bậc nữa. Thì ngồi nghĩ thầy này, cái ông sư này đó, thì ông cũng có một cái định lực mà để ông độ cái ông vua Đế Thích này. Ông vua Đế Thích này đó là ông một cái nước đó, là ông cái quyền lực ông rất là mạnh, biết không? Ông muốn người ta sống là sống, muốn người ta chết là chết, muốn người sao. Mà ông độ được cái ông này đó, ông khỏi ăn chay, ông miễn phí rồi này kia, là cúng một cái tốt của cho một cái đất nước này. Thì ông sư này ông cũng độ được cái ông vua Đế Thích này những cái giống ngày Hòa Thượng Tuyên Hóa vậy đó. Nói ông Bút đó, cha Bút đó, ông á, bây giờ muốn nghe lời tôi đó, thì ông trong vòng 4 năm cái tiền lương này ông lãnh, mà ông có dám làm không? Ông Bút ông không có dám làm, bởi vì không có dám làm thì sư phụ đó thì cũng không có cho một cái quyền lực, không có cho một cái quyền lực cho ổng để cho ổng thấy. Mô Phật.
Amitabha Master, Boyin would like to say something, but it's kind of long. Just like this monk, he came from India. He met with the emperor and talked to the emperor. that means that he has to have samadhi. This emperor, he has a power over the country, so he's very powerful. So then this monk taught the emperor to do that, and the emperor do as instructed. That means that the emperor actually crossed over many people, not just like that. But if he wanted to go deep into Mahayana, he has to cultivate in a different level. So therefore, I think that the monk can cross over the emperor in that way, must have samadhi, and he also cross over many, many people in that way. Just like Venerable Xuanhua, he wanted to cross over the Bush father. Master Huat said that if you wanted to continue to become a president, you must not receive for your your wages for 4 years. Therefore, I think Venerable Xuanhua wanted to teach the Buddha fathers that way.
Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important for you to appreciate the foresight of Master Xuanhua. He says, 动死不攀缘，饿死不化缘，穷死不求缘. Got that? That's the spirit. And that's why I commend the second patriarch. That's what he's doing. It got transmitted to the second generation. Because Master Xuanhua had to make sacrifices in order for that to happen. Okay? So he says, oh, you exempt, you're not a commoner. You don't have much awesome virtue. Wei de. Wei de here is not awesome virtue. Here, wei de here in the sense of you don't have the ability to keep people in awe, or your influence, power influence. Okay, but it's okay. You understand the concept here. He says you have a lot of influence, you have a lot of power, okay, and virtue. Unlike you, commander doesn't have it. You don't have. Therefore, you are exempt. Okay, and here's what happens to a politician, like the emperor says, okay, yeah, okay, then I don't have to cultivate. I'm special. There's a way. This Dharma is cool. This Dharma makes exceptions for me. Even though I'm, still confused, I'm exempt. I have a problem with that. When I listen to this, I say, oh my God, this really hurts. For what? You need to benefit all citizens, and it says all kinds of good deeds. That's cultivation, okay, and need to do things and benefit citizens. So basically, it says it's practice giving. That's his Dharma door. He says you just practice giving. You don't worry about keeping precepts or take the hard way. Okay, you are exempt from hard work and from making personal sacrifices. You just ask others to make sacrifices. And that's Buddhism for the royalty. You see, sounds familiar? That's what happens in Japan. You can decree policy benevolence, only do this, do policy. You have to tell them to kill less, it will save many lives. You see, of course it's true. And this is a sales pitch from a monk using the Buddhist principles disguised as Buddhist instructions. It's just a sales pitch. This emperor says, I want to cultivate, I want to be vegetarian. Can you help me? He says, no, you don't have to be vegetarian. It's too difficult for you. Well, you know why not? Because you are special. This is what I, as an emperor, hear from what this monk was telling me. I'm special. Continue to be special. So there's a Buddhism for the emperors and Buddhism for the commoners. Isn't that cool? I stick to the Buddhism for the emperor. You get it now? Disagreeing Taiwanese person? See, so now because you are one, and you only have to worry about yourself, worry about the 老百姓, the 1,000, the 10,000, the 10 million. If you get them to do the good deeds, you don't have to. It's the same as you doing good deeds. Yeah, so wonderful. Buddhism can be so wonderful. Get you to cultivate. I don't have to cultivate because I'm the emperor. So I am the head of family. I don't need to cultivate. You woman, go cultivate. You children, go do Chan Chi and so forth. Okay? And you do become enlightened. I can also become enlightened then. Yes, 7.
Thank you, Master. In other talks that you've given, you've emphasized that for lay people, there must be a middle way. And when I see him talking to the emperor, I think of him as the ultimate lay person. He has to take on the responsibilities of every type of lay life, be it a soldier, a cook, a guest, host, everything he must do that a lay person might have to do. And so I see him giving Dharma of, like you said, giving in any way that he can because he's so entrenched in the lay life. What would be his middle way?
What is what?
What would be the emperor's middle way?
Be vegetarian. That's a middle way. The middle way means that when you're not enlightened yet, there's a way for you to become enlightened. After you become enlightened, and then your way is different. So that's why it's very important to differentiate when you are confused. The teachings are designed to help you end your confusion. When you are no longer confused, it's different. Okay? So this emperor is confused, so he can only have to teach the commoners not to kill, and therefore he's being vegetarian. What kind of Buddhism is that? I never heard of any such thing. You teach all commoners to be filial towards your parents, then you can go ahead and kill your parents. Because you only kill one set of parents, whereas you have 100 million people who are being filial to their own parents. Therefore, this is nothing. And you ask commoners to change from good to evil, evil to good. and that's you as well. So you don't have to eat less meat or drink less alcohol because you're getting others to cultivate for you. It's just like this lady here says, my husband will cultivate for me, and therefore, therefore I'm cultivating. Duh. Sounds good? Buddhism is wonderful. As long as you order a community to him doing evil and doing good, then this is your own cultivation. And he's so happy. He said, this is such, Buddhism is so wonderful. I will build temples for you. And you know why? I never heard such great things. Because the other monks could not explain it to me because they're confused about conditions. And the confusions, they are confused about principles only. They can't advise me in what to do. And what is confused about conditions I talked about, the cycles, the cause and effect, retribution will fail. Because, hey, I'm exempt. They couldn't even understand I'm exempt. You see that? That's what it means. I read this, what is it talking about? Oh, yeah, him. I'm exempt. I'm exempt from cause and effect. This Buddhism is fantastic. And the Confucians who brainwashed the Chinese very well, Asians very well. You lucky you're not Asian. We all brainwashed by Confucius. There's some good parts about it, but when you get to a high level, it's so darn confusing. Confucius was very good for stupid people who need to be kept in check to serve the emperor. You guys are lucky. You know, you're not Asian, trust me. Because the Asians are brainwashed. When I teach my Asian disciples to a high level, now I said, let me tell you, don't quote me your Confucian value systems. It doesn't apply to me, doesn't apply to us. Brainwashing is necessary for confused people. They're not designed to help them open the wisdom. They're only designed to keep them in check. That's all. So it's packaged under, you be humane, you have to be filial, you have to respect the rights, you have to respect authority in order to keep you in check. That's all. You need to blindly follow. Okay, so that's why they have a lot of articles in classical literature, and they say these are the principles of humanity, humaneness, of etiquette, and so forth. Okay, I'm not saying they're not important. They're important. Okay, however, when you need to also be free from those constraints in order for your wisdom, your true wisdom to unfold. Confucius never intended to develop wisdom in the people. That's why the Buddha had to come. You get it? If Confucius was able to do it, why would the Buddha need to come to the world? Why did the Chinese have to go to China? And the patriarch had to go to China. So from today's discussion with the great master, I have a clear understanding of the great way of heaven and human beings. Meaning, I'm the son of heaven, I'm exempt. You human beings are not. It's disgusting. I read this, I feel like barfing. What kind of Buddhism is this? You cannot teach confused people this way. There's no foundation for this guy, for his brand of Buddhism. His temple, see? As a result, he built Qi Huan Temple. You give me that temple, I would take it, but then I would sell it right away. Because it's corrupt. I don't want it to be known as a Buddhist temple. I would take it because it costs money, okay? Sell it so, to a non-Buddhist person so that it ceases to be a Buddhist temple. We have our standards. And this is the problem with the young monks who says, I'm going to build temples. I'm going to save a lot of people. I'm going to teach people about Pure Land Buddhism and confuse the heck out of them. But at least someday they'll be saved. Buddha said so. You recite my name, you'll be guaranteed rebirth to the Pure Land. It might take a little bit longer, but at least you get reborn to the Pure Land. Isn't it better? That's why I call corrupt Pure Land Buddhism. It's not for everyone. Yes, it's good to have to go to these corrupt temples and so forth because that's all you got. It's okay too. But not for us. No thanks. And the sixth patriarch, and all the great patriarchs says, no thanks. Yeah, let, what's his name? Sheng Xiu go to the emperor, okay, and get the royal patronage and build a lot of temples and make Buddhism such widespread throughout China. Wonderful. Sixth patriarch says, not for me. I will teach my followers, my handful of followers. That's good enough. Okay? Buddhism is big enough so that it has Sheng Xiu to serve such people, the Lao Bai Xing. And then the sixth patriarch says, I'm going to teach only, a superset of people. That's it. So that Buddhism had different levels. I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. Okay? This Gung Te Kai is okay. If he builds temple and he talks to the emperor like that, it's okay too. There's nothing wrong with it. But not for us. Not for me. That's all I'm saying. I'm not taking our high road or anything. I'm just saying Buddhism has many different gradations, many different levels. Which one do you want? Is that clear? That's all. It's your personal choice. We're not going to stop you from going to, Qi Huan Temple. Go, have fun. But when you come back, take a shower. It's fun. It's okay. We embrace it all. You understand? Please don't understand that I'm a high road. I don't care. And this is inferior. No. For us, it's that it's not for us. Buddhism still serves Japan well in a certain way, okay? It helps. It prepares them. Just like my late father, he went to a lot of teachers, Vietnamese teachers, famous ones, and Tibetan teachers, and all those things. Eventually, he ended up on Master Hsuan Hua, and that's how I look at that and say, oh, they're being prepared to go. It's okay. That's Buddhism too. Okay, time is up, everyone. Thank you. So remember, Super Lotto. Now back to the real world, okay? We talk all we want, but we still need to eat tomorrow. You know, I can't express how grateful I am to Master Shenhua. His teaching is so profound and provide a guiding light for myself personally. You know, that is priceless. That's why we're doing this. Spread the word. He's a great teacher. His disciples may not understand it, may not appreciate it as much as they're supposed to. But the teaching is fantastic. It's such pure Buddhism, untainted. Okay, thank you.